Hello, little chatfish, and welcome to another fireside stream. With me, Kib, you Fuzzy, and other you, Rapier, and you, the chatfish. I fucked that up a little. Crap. But we got some breaking news. We actually changed our entire stream schedule to cover this, because it's pretty big, so I think we should just get right into the big story, because it's fucking massive. Because this actually illustrates something quite well. And Fuzzy found this article this morning, so good job, Fuzzy, because I was not even looking.
There's been talk about that. There's been talk about this for a few days. This and Ubisoft, but there's a very high probability that the Saudis are gonna just, in partnership with Comcast, are just gonna outright buy Warner Brothers Discovery for 70 billion. And we do know that this is in the making, as the Comcast CEO decided to make a trip to the Saudi capital, Riyadh. I'm probably mispronouncing that. Whatever the Saudi capital city is. And first EA, and now most likely this. I'm not entirely surprised, as God, there's just so much to this.
I mean,
well, first of all, it's important to point out that Warner Brothers Discovery has not been doing well for a very long time, ever since the merger back in 22.
Yep.
They've been struggling with a $40 billion debt that they got down to $34.5 billion or something like that. Horrifically high interest payments, of which, even if they have good earnings results, those earnings are going back to paying down that debt. Stockholders are not doing well right now, and if I recall correctly, it's only up right now due to mass layoffs, mass layoffs, and the fact that people have been expecting a deal for a long time due to these frustrations growing and growing. Yes, for those that have been paying attention to WB over the past, let's go 3 years, just to focus on the merger timeline. It happened in early mid-April of 22. It's been garbage. The movies have not been good. The games have been,
they've kind of had flop after flop.
Flop after flop.
Yes,
Mortal
been not
Kombat
good.
has been not good. Their only success has been printing money. It's been Hogwarts Legacy,
which is strange. Yeah, because nobody expected that to be as good as it was. I actually kind of enjoyed it. Yeah. No, the big thing is, fun fact: Hogwarts Legacy sells well today. Like, here, let's open this bad boy up on Steam.
Hogwarts Legacy is the success of that is partially due to the mass campaign to try to cancel it as well.
Yeah.
I'm looking at mods. Fuck. Like, why ain't it showing up?
I wasn't gonna say anything. I was just gonna assume you were doing something else.
And the funny thing about Hogwarts Legacy, I've had fun with it, but in many ways it was
even recently
very safe. Yeah. It's a very safe game. The characters and story are uninspired, but a lot of the world building, the feeling that it's Hogwarts, is there. And even though there are some woke elements, yes, let's not beat around the bushes, but there was a good probability that was just trying to pander to each crowd.
Well, look, there's another factor there. It's a bit more complicated than just that. You have to remember that it's also based on, J.K. Rowling's stuff, and
I keep forgetting that.
Her politics over the years have changed, and she has changed as a person. So she revised things in her own world, if that makes sense. But
turning Dumbledore gay all of a sudden.
Yeah, like it's mostly either retcons or revisions to something that doesn't matter because it's already out. I mean, okay, so I'm not a particularly big Harry Potter fan, but I did enjoy the Wizarding World as a kid, and the only thing I really enjoyed about it was the books. The books are actually pretty good. The movies are, like, only the first 2 movies are actually worth it. Like, the rest are garbage. The rest are, like, maybe the first 2 are, yeah, because, like, it's the movies, man. They fall off hard.
Harry Potter's also just was a large part of a lot of people's childhood.
Yep.
And
the first
ultimately the settings, even the massive flaws in the world building, like, they're just meant to be fun.
Well, the big thing about Harry Potter,
they are power fantasy a lot of the time.
Yeah, that, and it's also it's basically how I would equate this is what got me into detective noir stuff and like detective stuff was actually Harry Potter. Because Harry Potter is, in great parts, detective work. And so if you like detective stories, it's very much that, but for children. And that's what it is. It's a kid's book. Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah. So either way, the big thing here is that the Hogwarts Legacy thing is successful, but I mean, to be fair, Warner Brothers Games has a lot of games under their umbrella and a lot of IPs. So the big thing
They're
about
horribly
this
mismanaged.
is, well, it's not even that. It's like, the big thing is the Saudis, right? Their
Yeah.
acquisition of this is huge. And the reason why this is huge is grand picture, right? Let's zoom out of this a little bit and let's look at the big picture. There is a war that is ongoing every day of the existence of humanity. It's a hidden war. It's an invisible war. What is this war? It's a culture war. What is a culture war? A culture war is basically media producing literature or artworks or things to gain prestige and things like this on the great stage, right? So what does this signify? And why is this big? And why is this a war? Or why is this a big move? Well, this means that the Arabic Peninsula, specifically the Saudi Arabians, have
Crown
basically...
Prince to be hyper-specific, because this is his brainchild, so it's his
he is
ideas
making a
specifically.
massive power play to push into culture. Now,
He's
based
been
on...
doing this for quite a few years now,
Yes,
ever since he
but
formed the
based-
Gamer Group.
based on what we know about him, we know that he likes Western style media. We also know that he likes Eastern style media. He isn't like a what you would call a theological person, if that makes sense, from that era.
No,
Or
he's
area.
not Islamist.
Yes, so you don't really have to worry about that. So it will be interesting because the big thing is when it comes to cultures, right? You have the United States media, which is kind of very independent, if that makes sense. So how it works in the West, in Europe, and in America, it's usually like an ebb and flow, if I can describe it like that. The industry has certain moods and tones set in pace by those in positions of power. Now, historically, previously, they were, producing Western media that was good. Then that started to change as, some stuff slipped in and people in power changed, and what you saw media slip into a different direction. This is important because where and why, right? It wasn't like, how do I put it? In the West, the media isn't focused on like it's Western media. It just is, right? And the big thing is that who is influencing things right now? Who is changing media? Before, in the 1980s and 70s and stuff before, it was the Soviet Union that was pushing media and culture hard, but they were failing. They were completely being defeated by the Western media. Western media just trounced it. There was still, not to say dismiss all media from the, the Soviet Union bloc, but most of it wasn't very good. And most of it couldn't hold a candle to some of the Western media that was being produced, right?
Yeah, the golden age of Marvels and DC Comics.
Yep. And so as time went on, right, they fell, and eventually some of that brain rot seeped into our media, right? That same sort of what we call wokeism.
DEI, woke, all of that. It's
Yes.
it's symptom of a much earlier seeds that have grown and still, despite what many think, still have a serious stranglehold on much of Western
they're still
media.
being promoted, right? Now,
Yes.
This is going to technically break a channel rule here, but this is an important reference. So in Europe, an interesting and fascinating place, right? In Europe, there is organizations funded by external powers in Western Europe to promote certain things, to undermine certain issues for certain external reasons. One of those would be like those green groups that go around defacing
Economic
paints or paintings and art, or going around and blocking and impeding traffic and harassing, everyday workers and everyday blue collar, people. This is done by mostly funding from Russia or external places that want to undermine Europe, right, as a whole. That's where those money.
A lot of it's done.
I know.
through
Let me
dark
finish.
money.
That's where the money comes from, right? And when it comes to the media for gaming, when it comes to a lot of these woke things that are happening, like Sweet Baby Inc. and all that, a lot of that money ends up actually coming from either these WHO groups or like these big people like that, or from other pieces in areas like Tencent or China. And that's important to denote because it's an active cultural war that's ongoing. So while the West has currently fallen at this point, no, let's not be doom and gloom. That's overblowing it. It's weakened. That's actually a more accurate assessment. We're on a little bit of a low point right now, but we are still producing good media and good culture pieces. Actually, the other big thing is that the Saudis, which is weird, like the Rohirrim from Lord of the Rings, are literally cresting the hill, right, in the Siege of Gondor, in this particular case, where they are picking up media pieces. Now, whether or not they ride to our aid remains to be seen based on actions, right? Or whether they have other ambitions. It doesn't mean that it's an all good thing, mind you. It's more about be cautious and let's just see where the cards land, because the moves are being made now. But what this could mean is that either Saudi Arabia will become a cultural power on the level of Japan. It'll still be probably second rate to Europe and second rate to America, because do not underestimate how powerful the West actually is. I know a lot of like boomers and doomers will go, it's over, but that's not how that works. All right. It takes a little bit longer. We need to continue the downward trend for at least a few more decades. Then we can do that. Then it's over. But but the big thing here is that with that trend going the way it is, if the Saudis simply just create Western media, then actually what will have happened is it will have basically stifled the East's actual power, and also stifled the wokest elements within our own
internal
stuff.
woke enemies that we have.
Because we have internal and external problems. The external problem is China. And I don't think media-wise Russia has anything. So, like, to be fair,
No, it's only China. Russia doesn't have the money and capabilities.
Russia's
to do
gaming market and overall entertainment sector is very, what I would call, insular.
They leave.
No, it's not that they're gone. It's they're insular. The media, because I've done extensive research into their games and production media, it's mostly insular and it stays in their region. It doesn't really export outwards, if that makes sense. Because that's the big thing. When you think of terms of spheres, right? And things drift over or enter in. I know you guys are going to give me crap for the sphere thing again, but that's how that works.
I need to get the meme.
And when it comes to Russia, it's very insular with its media. And that was one of the problems as to why it failed the Soviet Union as a cultural hegemon. It didn't actually export culture. It didn't export hardly anything in terms of like that stuff. And that absolutely destroyed them. Exporting culture is what makes you a powerhouse, right? Japan was able to recover pretty well and still has good optics on the world stage because it is an exporter of culture. And they do a damn good job. They actually are influencing things. They're exporting games, they're exporting movies, they're exporting literature, and, other things too. So that's actually putting them on the world stage. Being able to export that stuff helps. Like, another example of like an insular like community would be like China or India, right? We know of Bollywood, we know of Russian films, we know of Chinese films, but they usually don't bleed out because they're not culturally exporting them very well. Normally not very well at all. But the big thing is that they're doing in China and in India is that these two players are trying to export culture now because they're participating in the same media war, right? And this is the modern war. This is the world war of our era, because as time changes, humans change, right? And as we change, conventional warfares, like things like, taking and annexing territory is cute and all, but it's costly and it takes forever and it honestly ruins your own economy. What's far more easier is to export culture. Exporting culture is not only profitable, but it also exerts your own influence into other areas. It also pushes other cultures into your alignment. As you export culture, your culture becomes more dominant. American media, being as powerful as it is, has tied a great portion of the world to it. Regardless of whether you like the new media or not, that doesn't matter. Your opinion doesn't matter. I'm sorry.
Financial results speak more.
Results, yes.
Yeah.
And the reality is, because Western media is so prolific and powerful, it's insane. The power of things like Coca-Cola. It's part of culture. Coca-Cola is culture. The power of hamburgers. Hamburgers are culture. Food is culture. Like, when it comes to culture, there are so many arms of it. Music,
Oreo McFlurries.
culinary, who really won the Vietnam War? Okay, let's think about that.
The cheeseburger did, kid.
The French were over there, right? The French were over there, but how much of the French culture survived? Big think. But when you think about it, there's McDonald's there. What's that mean, chat? What does that mean? Oh, that means our culture is dominating. Do you know what was the symbol of the fall of the Russian Empire, the Red Empire, if you want to call it that? You know what the symbol was? It was Pizza Hut. Or was it Pizza Hut? I think it was Pizza Hut. I remember right, the commercial where Gorbachev
There's
was
also
like eating
isn't
pizza.
there McDonald's in the Red Square?
Yes, talk about cultural power. Literally, it is not guns that will conquer nations. It is song, it is art, it is burgers, it is fries.
Or in this case, the pen is mightier than the sword. Remember that old saying?
So, yeah, which people this is that being that
Literally.
as opposed to what people seem to think it means, which is no. It's literally
Yeah.
talking about culture. And
You want to talk about cultural
Now-
shock?
Now,
Hold on, I got a real quick story. I learned about this from studying stuff, and I like sharing this one because I want everybody to know this one. It's a good story. I learned this about World War II fact, right? This one is interesting. In World War II, we captured prisoners, right? We took them back to America. And when prisoners arrived in America from Germany or Japan, they would eat in our prisons. And our prisons our POW camps adhered to the Red Cross and the, general conventions of war, where, they must be fed well, fed appropriately, taken good care of. And what happened? It broke them. It broke every one of them. Prisoners brought in from our enemies broke as people, unironically, because the food, the amount of food, the quality of food, the access to butter shocked them. You know what shocked and terrified Japan? Was it our armies? Yeah, to a degree. What was it really, though? Ice cream ships off the coast. There were ice cream ships just for us off the coast of our nation, right? Or not our nation, their nation. Goofy, got my geography mixed up there. But basically, while they were under attack, where their people could barely eat, and we had entire ships dedicated to making ice cream. Logistics, culture, and everything else. This is such a dominant thing. We bring our culture wherever we go. I know it's going to sound crazy. The invasion of Afghanistan. Why am I referencing this? What were pictures of the invasion of Afghanistan that were kind of shocking? Cargo planes not unloading troops or tanks, unloading Burger Kings. Unloading Pizza Huts. You will eat the burger. You will eat the burger. It's unironically insane what it actually is when you look at the grand picture. It's actually culture, and it always has been culture. Culture is everything. It always has been. It's what determines a society or civilization survives the test of time. Did Rome really fall when you think about it? If its culture actually subsumed the people who settled on top of it. Sure, its militaries were weak and its economy was weak and it was corrupt beyond belief, but at the end of the day, when the barbaric kingdoms settled on top of them, the proto-kingdoms, they became obsessed with Rome. They all wanted to be Rome. They obsessed over it to a ridiculous degree. They romanticized it to the point where it actually forms parts of our culture and society today. Literally, the U.S. Capitol is modeled after that kind of classical style of architecture. In the end, we just became the children of Rome. That's all that really happened. Because culture is what actually determines the survival of a civilization. Culture saw that the Roman civilization would never fall. Culture saw that the Carthaginians are forgotten. Culture saw that many civilizations didn't matter because they were completely subsumed. That's the real victor. It isn't linguistics, it isn't borders, it isn't capitals. It's the burgers. And it's always been the burgers. And when you understand this, you will be enlightened, Chatfish. This is why the acquisition of Warner Brothers, or Saudis buying Warner Brothers, is
likelihood of it.
Yeah, a big deal. Because they're not just buying Warner Brothers, are they, Fuzzy? They're trying to...
the DC Comics,
yeah.
Discovery, all the IPs, all the studios.
They're buying huge portions of American and Western
on top
culture.
of EA.
Yeah.
Now, to get to something Chat was saying, and the donations we've gotten so far. So Morty was saying once we brought this up, about that, he says, I'm by no means a doomer, but, which lies, but I don't want foreign buyouts of American companies.
I agree.
Which is fair. Absolutely.
I not only agree, I echo that sentiment. I see this as a potential problem. That's why it's important. Now, the Saudis' bone to pick isn't necessarily with the United States at current. They're actually fighting a war against India and China at the moment, culturally. and they are basically buying up Western media and products because what's the most powerful culture in the world? It isn't Japan's. They do have good media.
It's US.
It's the United States, and not just the United States, but European culture in stories. Mostly United States. I'm sorry. It's like Europeans are just
Europe,
like,
Europe has been weakening for a while right now, so it's mainly on the
Europe
US to hold up the Western
but
values.
there is European stuff that's significantly valuable and worthwhile, right? The big thing is that they're buying Western culture, and they're buying it because they're basically imagine this sale isn't just a sale, like, you know, of just like a book or movie.
Part of it is also pure financials. They're trying to diversify away from oil.
Well, it's not just
and
that.
This is where
Think about it.
One.
This is the same acquisition. This is
part of the
yes,
reason.
but this is the same acquisition as it is when a nation buys tanks or planes. It unironically is. This is another piece of their arsenal. These are unironically weapons of mass destruction, mass influence, if nothing else, and prestige.
Now,
Go for it.
Now, as to fighting this big war,
Hold on.
or this,
Rapier's got to get his
ahead.
piece. What's up?
yes, well, I wanted to go over our donations. So before stream started, Harlot and Rifford both gifted a membership. And then once the stream started, Animaniac donates $2 that says late, what happening? And he donates another $2, it's over, the West has fallen, Chinaman.
Think of the nation. Fortunately, that's not going to happen. On the bright
China
side.
is a lot weaker in terms of financial pull than Saudis, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they on paper make a lot of money, but China is a lot weaker.
Now,
but that's
The one other thing is that while Saudis are acquiring, or probably trying to acquire Ubisoft and probably trying to acquire Warner Brothers, because there's a whole war over Ubisoft. France is also fighting over it. Yeah, it's a rumor.
We'll get to that when we get to that, but try to get to the WB point, to get to my point. There are very few company. First of all, about to think of foreigners buying U.S. companies. You're never stopping that, so just... And that generally does not work. If you wonder why Europe is so economically weak, it's because they crack down so much on trying to get adaptability that we at the U.S. ends up getting all the investment and gets all the new tech and everything. Now, also, there's on top of the fact that woke has invested most of the financial institutions of the U.S. to such a high degree. Most people in power that want to make these power moves to purge the woke mind virus almost cannot do it. There is very little capability to do it other than the, yes, still important method of work your way from the ground up, grassroots, work away from the ground up, build new companies. But that still requires a lot of money, and let's face it, woke finance in New York and San Francisco and Chicago are very woke and will tie your hands with this. The Crown Prince, to be specific here, is one of the few strategic partners to even make these power moves as a giant middle finger of there is nothing you can do to stop this. Eat you know what.
Mm-hmm. Also, Rayford, thank you for the gift of membership. But yeah, when it comes to this media, it's, how do I put it? I can understand why people like Mamu personally doesn't want it to be acquired, and also I'm not a big fan of other powers buying our media either and owning it. That's still not good, in my opinion. In the long term, it might be a good short-term thing in the initial stages, but it's going to be bad in the long term because it means we have less big things under our umbrella. We are culturally going to be weakening in that regard. And that's why it's important to try to be building new things up, right? The acquisition of EA, like I was saying before I was interrupted, the acquisition of Ubisoft by whoever, whether it's Tencent or whatever, as they continue to push and pull more parts of it, right? It doesn't matter. That's going to weaken France because Ubisoft is even though it's, declined, is still an element of France's culture and represents a part of that. And losing access to that will weaken them quite a bit on the world stage when it comes to media and gaming as a whole. Now, the most important thing in the immediate, if that makes sense, is quality. This, I think, in the immediate time frame, and I think you guys will agree, will undoubtedly probably be better for quality for the user, at least as far as that goes, regardless of the conflict on the grand stage, right? Because it's very unlikely, but we'll find out. We'll see when we see it, right? What they're gonna do when they start changing stuff, right? Will they now? Some people see the issue is that everyone's such a shit poster, right? They're all little trolls. So the question is that how will this affect how stories are written, right? Let's say you have a character that's a male hero, right, or a female hero. Can you still do that? Now, I think you still can, because I think that the Saudi prince is relatively actually reasonable. You can still make male or female stories. They're not going to do anything retarded with that, right? Because there's a lot of cultures in the Middle East where it's like you will only do one thing. And if you're Christian, you don't do anything. And if you're Jewish, you don't do anything. And if you're gay, you don't do nothing. And if you're a woman, you don't do nothing. And if you're a man, you don't do nothing either, because you're not the preacher, or you're not the man of power. You're all weak. You're all going to be in a hijab. You know what I mean? And it's a very oppressive and toxically disgusting and backwards culture. Genuinely inferior. Which is why I don't believe that will occur, but it will not be a good thing in the long term. It's also not going to spell our doom, you big doomer. God, you're such a black pill. Oh my god. Vulpus gives
Also,
a membership. Thank you very much. So does River.
Richard's been gifting memberships. So chat, they are going for the Hugo Fugo. You know what? Fuck it. That's his name now.
Hugo Fugo.
The bounty, which is max tier. And memberships are currently working, so this is probably the best time to go for it. Also, Czar's gray. He's deathly ill. We should fix him by making him green. The max tier bounty, for a reminder, because it did change, is for a chatfish, a pocket fish, a bucket fish, and your choice of either a comm slot or a game fund, as in you fund a game and thumbnail fully.
Mm-hmm.
I looks like Refer gave me 2 membership choices. Fairy Odd Parents again.
Yes. But yeah, the big thing here when it comes down to this is that in the short term, this is a good thing. But in the long term, this is a bad thing. Why is this a bad thing in the long term? It's bad because it does mean that culturally speaking, those IPs will no longer be under our thumb. But they will be under someone else's thumb. And that's not necessarily good. Now, you could argue they weren't under our thumb to begin with. And you're right.
There is one problem with that argument.
They've left... Well, hold on. They've left our sphere altogether. They've moved on. They're outside of it, and it won't come back. Because they're not going to sell it back. You know that. Also, Polly gives 5 memberships. Thank you very much.
Very generous. Yeah, the real problem with everything in US, there is no trust in much of corporate US leadership in these established spheres. Keep in mind where WB is located. Los Angeles. Nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to support Hollywood anymore. Unless you diversify away from Hollywood and break these
monopolies,
local dominant sphere. Local monopolies on labor, corporate, finance, and everything. Yeah, you're not gonna. People are not gonna care about the long-term argument. They're gonna see it as a long-term benefit, and they may actually have a point there, as they want this established leadership out. They want them broken. They want them out of their jobs. They need these local monopolies broken, where money and talent just leaves and diversifies away. That's the only way you're going to break this, is if the U.S. diversifies its talent pools and much of this entertainment sphere away from these West Coast, from these few center coastal
now, one thing,
elites.
Real quickly, Fuzzy, is that we're not a, what do you call it, a managed economy or direct economy or whatever it's called?
No.
So
no,
this is all private sector.
Reality.
This has to happen on a individual basis. Which, by the way, one thing we can say, it already is happening right now.
Yeah.
So the big thing when it comes to media is, as a vacuum is created, a new thing, an entity will take the place of the previous thing. So as that vacuum is made in the West and in the United States, something new will form up from the middle of it, right, and become its own thing. And what that new thing is could be good, could be bad. We'll have to figure that out. We're going to find out. But as everybody participates in this, right, whether you're making a book, because I know some of you guys are writing your own stuff, whether you're, making a game, because I know some of you are indies like us, or doing the same thing. If you're doing that kind of thing, you're already a participant in this conflict. But all that you have to do to fight is just keep doing what you're doing. It's just a thing that happens. It's how do I put it? I mean, you know this, Fuzzy, and so do you, Rapier. This has been happening since the dawn of time. This has been happening since humans could tell stories. It's just, it's going to happen. It's going to happen naturally. And the winner will be based on merit. Whoever sells the best, whoever has the best story that spreads the, most, like Star Wars, for example. That's an example of a piece of media that carries significant cultural and societal impact. It spread everywhere. It inspired people to look towards space. A lot of people that wanted to do stuff in space and inspired interest from it originates from Star Wars or other films, even older than the Star Wars and stuff like that, that inspired Star Wars to be made to begin with, right? Or Japanese films. Japanese media was a direct inspiration for Star Wars. So you have all sorts of media. And just because something is produced in Saudi Arabia or something is produced in China does not mean that something can't be produced in Europe, does not mean that something can't be produced in the Americans, for the Americans, North Americans, or South Americans, etc. It just means that the old legacy titles are drifting away. But there's going to be new stuff, and there always is. Because, how do I put this? The media we have and the cultural phenomenon we have of our era is only because and accelerated because of the information age that we exist in. The information age was brought about because of the speed of communication, the speed of being able to send a package from myself to Fuzzy, from Fuzzy to someone in Europe, stuff like that. Or now the fact that Fuzzy is, on the other side of the country, so is Rapier, and all of you are spread across the entire planet, and we can have this stream right now, and it can be broadcasted instantly to you, pretty much, with a second or two delay. You know what I mean, though. So this is basically interconnected it. So when you make something, it carries a lot more weight now than it did back then. Versus back then, when you made something, it spread, but it took longer, right? Remember when it came to the Harry Potter books? And that's something recent. And why I talk about that is because that's a huge cultural phenomenon. It's bigger than Aragon. It's one of the bigger impact ones because it actually had potency. It stuck around. It wasn't just like a one-shot.
Everyone knew what Harry Potter was.
Everyone knew what it was. It was the closest thing to having a Star Wars occur in recent times, right? It blew up. Everybody knows what it is. And it still blows up and still popular today. Very popular and resonates. It has a pretty strong resonance. And so what makes that interesting is that media like this carries, and it carries significant weight when it's made. And also, media fades. Go back before Star Wars. What was before Star Wars that was big for sci-fi? Most people couldn't even tell you, And it's like that.
2001.
What did you say?
It's 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, 2001: Space Odyssey. There's also that one with the guy with the robot, that gets carried around. I can't remember the name of it. God damn it. God damn. But you know what I mean? As time goes on, those pieces of media will slowly drift a bit further back. And the new pieces of media that are created will sort of overshadow them, right? There will be aspects of these that are timeless, right? For example, Tolkien's Lord of the Rings is pretty potent and pretty powerful and resonates still pretty well today. And so some of this media will carry. Dune, Frank Herbert's Dune, absolutely. How Robert Heinlein's Starship Troopers is one that has faded. I like Starship Troopers, but its cultural significance is not hardly relevant as compared.
Berserk still has a lot of cultural significance.
Berserk has, I think, a higher impact actually than Starship Troopers does. Mostly because Starship Troopers has waned, and also it's polluted. Starship Troopers.
I mean, Berserk.
Only the
everything
book
that
is actually real, and the movies are not related.
that does the lone swordsman or the guy with big sword, that's directly from Berserk.
Yeah, the big brick.
Yeah.
Oh god, that's so goofy. The original Battlestar Galactica. That's true.
Lost in Space. Yeah, that is a big one too.
Classics. Yes, those will be remembered, but they're not as popular, right? More people want to make games about Star Wars than they do about 2001: Space Odyssey. Now, granted, certain media translates better to other media, but you know what I mean. There isn't as much extended media for these other things. They're more one piece, if you will. I shouldn't use that term because that's actually a piece of media called that.
That's actually, yeah.
But it's singular.
Never-ending
It's an
series.
entity because that's the exact opposite of what I'm trying to talk about. I made this piece of media and it's contained. It's a contained piece of media. There isn't really much extension to it. Starship Troopers is a great example of this. It is a singular piece of media. Because, let's be frank, the movies are a bastardization of everything the book stands for. Especially, I love the Paul Verhoeven movie, but it has nothing to do with Starship Troopers.
You actually missed, and this is why Chad should always hang out after stream in the Discord. There was a long discussion about the Starship Troopers movie, how it was misinterpreted, how the message people took away from it, and like
Oh, there's several
a
problems
massive
with it, yeah.
discussion.
Yeah. I mean, Paul Verhoeven's movies are wonderfully amazing. But he's kind of one of those guys who's what I call a little bit special. Like, he produces good shit, but by God, is he a bit tarded.
Now, Chad's pointing out some good points I have to point out about. Yeah, a lot of the big hitters are less and less the U.S. Now, if anybody who says the U.S. games industry is dead, no, that's not true. Backfoot is true. A lot of U.S. And this is why I'm not too worried about the Saudi deal. This foreign diversification is the only thing that's going to put pressure on U.S. media to actually do correction. We actually saw some of this actually with the U.S. car industry, of where it should have died and then brought back up again, because the simple fact was U.S. car companies got
they got put on life support and just got used to.
Yep.
Yeah, because when the labor and the corporate got so used to no competition, and when competition came up and people realized, hey, this is bad, why am I paying for this? The failure happened, and the only reason the failure didn't completely complete is because the U.S. government stepped in twice, and it should have just let these companies fail so the correction could happen. It doesn't mean the assets like the factories and everything don't just go away, but the changing of hands needs to happen. And that's one thing you're slowly seeing in the U.S. entertainment in Los Angeles, Seattle, all these areas. You're seeing the failure happen more and more, and let's face it, there's going to be a lot of foreign pressure, which is needed, not just from Saudi Arabia, but Japan and just other spheres. Also, until this whole failure cycle sorts its way out in the U.S., and often these changes of hands bring out good things, or it forces the correction, which could very well happen. It'll be much needed, but the fact is, it's gonna be U.S. companies maybe and leadership maybe on the back burner for a good long time until things sort its way out. Until the business world gets the picture of, we don't like this, we want this, satisfy our entertainment needs, otherwise our money goes elsewhere.
It's basically just the U.S. side is on the back foot, but like we will bounce back because that's
the U.S. economy is more adaptive than most other countries. Europe, I would say a lot less so, but we'll get more to that as we get to
Well, yeah, the big thing with Europe is that you also have to factor in different nations, right? Because Europe is weird. Europe is... Okay, so culturally media. I'm glad you brought that up, Fuzzy, because it's a great point. The fun fact about Europe is, when you think about it, right, like initially, and audience included, Chatfish is included, think about Europe and think about cultural media exporting. You're like, it's not really exporting anything. But it's like, no. It's actually producing things that are having shockwaves. It's dropping nukes, and Europe has been actually pretty powerful lately, especially in the gaming industry as a whole.
It's one of the few sectors that has any dynamicness in.
Yes, I mean, look at Sweden. Holy shit! Sweden is like literally like the most powerful nation in like Europe when it comes to like some of its games. Like, holy fuck. The Swedish games industry is titanic. It's making the Swedish Empire shed a single tear of sorrow, like joy, you know? It's like, we did it. We won. You know?
What did it cost?
It cost our entire empire, but you know, we're now a little smaller.
So, two things.
What?
Donation from Sturmrat.
Yeah,
for €5. He says Isaac Asimov accidentally created the word robotics accidentally when he was around 20, and everyone knows the laws of robotics these days.
Yep.
It's a good point. Isaac Asimov was a big one.
Another word would be chancellery. Chancellery, if I remember right, wasn't really a word that made sense until like it just randomly started entering the main use. I mean, there are words like that sort of appear, but in particular to cultural media, Asimov making robotics, yes. Also, that's what I always find funny. People are like, that's not a word, but is there a word to describe that? It's like, no, well, that's now the word. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yes, we know Europe's not one country.
Yes, but Europe is not one country. It's usually bulked up because to break down the European games industry, you've got French games, you've got German games, and you've also got Swedish games, and you got Polish.
Slavjank.
Yep.
Well, the same thing happens with the U.S. But if it's just viewed as a single thing. When
Yep. I mean, you could technically break it down there too, but in Europe's case, it's a bit more unique, because But the thing that's a unifying factor, right? Because we have to talk about what's the unifying thing, because things are an umbrella here. It's raining outside, so open up your umbrellas, chat. So basically, what that means is Ubisoft is an umbrella. They have companies in Canada. They've got I don't know if they still do. They had companies in France. They had companies in Germany too, Mainz, where one of the big ones was. Hell, that recent game, Anno 117, that dropped recently from the Anno franchise, Germans. German game devs. Filthy Germans making city builders. But yeah, they all have their own little markets. So there are unifying factors. So sometimes you have Ubisoft and they have teams in different areas, right? Like we've met people from Ubisoft before, we've talked to them before. But like they're everywhere. Ubisoft is kind of an umbrella. It originates from France. It's beating heart is there, right? But there's also big chunks of it in Canada. There's chunks of it in Germany. There's chunks of it in France. There's chunks of it in India, and stuff like that. And it's kind of scattered around globally. So that's what's one thing to bear in mind. Like EA had technically a bunch of different things. There was like EA Los Angeles. You remember them? Those guys made Command & Conquer. What? Crazy. I know, right? So yeah, so there's like different groups, different areas, different sectors, stuff like that. Spunky Monkey $22 says, War of These Worlds. Frankenstein? Okay, I think War of the Worlds. Autocorrect fucked him there. Frankenstein, Time Machine. Yeah, those are cultural pieces of media. And Singular. I don't know if that's in reference to the Singular conversation when we're talking about individuals.
Closing thoughts on the...
What?
Yeah, I know closing thought on the W thing. Honestly, I think it's going to be a good thing in the... Also, even possibly the long term. You need some kind of outside pressure on many of these established local institutions to keep them on their feet. That's the only way. Competition like this is the only way to keep these on their feet. And right now we have a strategic partner willing to help us with that. One of the few with enough FU money that woke finance can't do anything about it, especially with all the pressure woke finance has been under, messing up a lot of things. As WG Games, well, that woke leadership has led to very bad things that led to this.
Yep. The big thing I will say, and the one good thing about the Saudi acquisition that's indisputably good, is that because it's happening, it is now going to create a new area of competition. And competition is going to be a net positive for everyone. One of the reasons why woke stuff is a problem, or Tencent's gaining so much power and influence, and it's not good for anybody. It's hurting Japan, it's hurting Korea games, it's hurting everyone.
IP theft.
Yeah, IP theft too. Let's not forget about that. But so the one thing that's going to be a huge shock and blowback here is that Saudi Arabia developing its own games industry would be good in the long run. But not only would it be good, but it's actually a great thing. Because the reason why is we don't want one particular, as users, right? We don't want one particular thing being good. And what will make better content and better media on a production and a human evolutionary level is going to be competition, and fierce competition with actual threats, right? Like, for the longest time, what was the threat? It was Tencent, with their meddling and all their crap they were doing. And then you had woke stuff. And then you had the double A's. And then that was it. Now we have the Saudis kind of entering the ballpark. And now they're a player in this game. So what that's going to mean is that, well, woke companies won't be able to compete with them. Not only will they not be able to compete, but they will literally collapse. And as they collapse, that will be a net good for everyone. The sooner they get wiped out, the better.
Yeah. Because a lot of these established entertainment have been able to... Well, those as kids pointed earlier, those Soviet seeds that led to DEI and wokeness. This Saudi deal is one of the only ways to fight back against it. A new sphere of influence with FU money that, hey, people have choices now. You don't have to give these woke institutions money anymore. As people have realized since the COVID era ended around 22-23, people, as we saw, I think I said in a previous Bunchcast, people are just spending their money elsewhere. AAA is not doing well right now because of this.
Yeah, they're gonna go buy different games.
Yeah, now, indie scene's actually growing significantly.
This is actually still a golden age, yeah.
Which is not exactly in US's favor, because a lot of our money in gaming is actually in the big AAA, which is why you kind of need these Saudi deals to force a correction and give US talent more options to get out of woke companies again. That's actually, to Europe's credit, Europe is actually pretty good with indie and AA, which is why a lot of the big hitters are in them. Also because, let's face it, European companies have a very hard time growing into big companies, which is frustrating in another way, because the ability to go from small to big is one of the most important things in order to not just get stability in the entertainment sphere, but also it just leads to better competition overall. It's like, hey, it's not just US big entertainment companies. There are other big entertainment companies to keep each other on their feet. And Europe refusing to recognize us for the longest time due to a lot of cultural reasons. It's led to... Outside of gaming, Europe is actually very weak in many spheres because of this.
Yep.
Because they just don't accept adaptiveness, and that they... And this is one thing I've noticed in many of their established industries. They're resistant to adaptability and changing of economic ways. US accepts this. That's why I'm not worried about ours in the long term. Yeah, the big players are going to suffer. We've always recovered, as anybody that works in investments and finance will tell you. Oh yeah, don't worry, Bill. In the long run, we'll adapt.
Yep.
Hell,
But
even the Saudis are recognizing this.
well, I
Europe-
mean, so the reality is that when it comes to the grand stage, it doesn't really
Yeah.
matter. Like that particular thing, it's just mostly about what areas are still producing, right? The acquisition of Warner Brothers, whether it happens or it doesn't, we don't know. It's up in the air. It's also one of those things where it's
It's a wild card.
it's a kind of a drop in the water, because if you want to actually look at the reality of things, Warner Brothers, you all right now are probably thinking about their peak. You're kind of remembering Rome at its glory days. Warner Brothers at present is basically
A shadow of a shadow.
The only thing that they have worthwhile is the
decrepit.
IPs they own. They've not produced anything worthwhile in a long time.
and
Yeah, because they've had several
Yep.
flops. Multiverse, Suicide Squad.
the Warner Brothers is dead. It's been dead for ages.
Now, it would be better, in my opinion, them not to just be bought up by a single entity like this, but them having to sell, if they had to sell their IPs
Yes,
to
breaking
multiple other companies.
taking a hammer to them would be okay. So if I could have my ideal situation, this is what I actually would want. I would actually want to see a hammer taken to Warner Brothers and for it to be shattered and acquired by smaller, different individual groups. But here's the reality. This is the best actual outcome. There is literally no other outcome for this to happen besides my dream one, and that's impossible. My dream outcome is for actual
Yeah,
reform to happen internally. But the issue with Warner Brothers is that Warner Brothers, that's not going to happen, because what's going to happen is it's going to go the THQ route. It's either this or the THQ route. THQ route, they take a hammer to this, it cracks apart, and who acquires it? A bunch of big people acquire it. Like EA grabs
that
chunks.
just sit on it.
Microsoft grabs chunks. That's what happens.
Embracer Group. Can you say Embracer Group? Embracer Group got the majority of THQ's IPs.
Well, basically, yeah,
you'd
you'd get something like the Embracer Group basically acquiring chunks of this. You get,
Sega.
you get Sega grabbing chunks of this. You get everybody, and then it's like, okay, well now we just scattered this thing to a bunch of shitty places too. So it's not actually better; it's actually worse, because this already happened with THQ.
And often it doesn't even lead to the best financial results for the previous owners. The reason why the Saudi deals happen is because they actually considered the breakup.
Yep.
And it just wouldn't.
But either way,
wasn't the best.
I think it's time for us to move on to the next subject, because I think we definitely nailed this one good.
Before we move away, there's something that's been bothering me for a while on that picture with Harry.
Yeah, well, I already closed it, so.
Okay, well, it
You
looked
want
like
to talk
So
his
you're gonna have to
glasses-
distill us.
his glasses were askew, and it looked like he was holding a knife.
I don't care. SoftBank just unloaded its stake in Nvidia at, oh boy, more big news, for $5.8 billion, right before the chip king is secluded to report earnings. But does its billionaire CEO, Masayoshi, God damn it, I butchered that name. know something the
SoftBank
rest of Wall
is-
Street doesn't?
SoftBank is a investment bank based in Japan that owns ARM, for example, and they are a specialist in tech investing. They sold their entire stake in Nvidia, and that is warning signs of Nvidia. There is more to this. Yeah, I'll make it up for myself. As if you scroll down, where is this money going to be used? They're just going to invest in OpenAI again, and they promised $22.5 billion by December, meaning by next month. And now SoftBank has previously committed to invest up to $40 billion in OpenAI. This is just one of OpenAI's funding sources and promises. Now, this is what people call the AI tech bubble, or the Silicon Valley AI tech bubble, as when it comes to AI companies, as I talked about it, I think, in the Bunchcast Saturday, there are also most of the innovation is not in OpenAI, is in smaller to mid-sized AI companies building models to make businesses more efficient. And those are the ones that are stable right now. But OpenAI and a lot of these big AI companies in the black hole of investment money that is Silicon Valley, well, it goes like this. You have SoftBank, you making these promises instead of you getting this money to invest in OpenAI, which in return buys a bunch of chips from say AMD, Nvidia, who in return reinvest back into OpenAI again. So it's a circular money, it's a circular exchange of money that hasn't produced results yet. There are technically investments in balance sheet, but if you know what the Ponzi scheme is, a lot of it, which is just the same money changing hands, but being recorded and accumulated as debt, or depending on the financial instrument used. In this case, OpenAI has a lot to pay back, and this is what's called the AI bubble. It is not you and I, say, investing in mutual funds which directly invest in OpenAI. We could be affected by if you own Nvidia stock, Microsoft stock, and those investments blow up in OpenAI, which could very well happen. Their stock price is down as they lose billions upon billions that even they can't ignore. And OpenAI has not produced results yet, despite all the claims of subscriptions. They just are not pulling in the money to justify a lot of this expansion right now, and this circular exchange of money.
So Fuzzy, would you call this a bubble?
Oh, it's undeniably a bubble. I've been calling this for a very long time.
So one of the things I saw, it was some big investor group sent out to a lot of their big clients a box with the question, is AI a bubble? And inside the box was a thing of soapy water and a little bubble shooting gun.
Yes. Now, those savvy investors like the hedge fund groups, big finance, that say the ones that pay attention to mutual funds and stuff like that, for I say a few months now, ever since June, July, and some of in my AI connection circles have been seeing this for a long time now, and they're going, this is gonna burst. A lot of these this is not exactly a .com bubble. It's more of a side grade where it's manifested differently, but it's a bubble nonetheless. As a .com bubble, you could really literally have your average retail investor invest in a lot of these .com companies that exploded. This bubble is a lot of institutional investors, and a lot of the non-institutional investors, such as your Goldman Sachs fund managers, are looking at this and going, why is this red line not changing to at least black, where it's at least even, where you at least breaking even? Because this investment trend has been going on for at least 7 to 8 years plus, perhaps even a decade, and it's not improved. It's only getting worse. They're saying all this spending on AI, and people are going, where are the results? And that's what investors look at, results, because that's the ultimate determiner if people actually value these goods or services. Are people paying for them? And the answer is, not to the extent to justify the investments.
Yep.
As of right now, and for a long time.
Yeah, I've even seen the Chatfish. Even the Chatfish are like, it ain't looking so good.
Yeah. Let's focus on OpenAI as a hyper-specific example. The crown star of all this thing. OpenAI is garbage. Their search engine is garbage. Their video generator is garbage. And a lot of these Silicon Valley companies that...
Well, yeah, because think about it, right? You can't even... In some areas, you can't even monetize this stuff, right? So on YouTube, you're not allowed to monetize AI-generated content, which is good. Mostly because it's already legally scuffy on how AI stuff works, because you could technically just take Star Wars and then run Star Wars through an AI thing, right? On the algorithm. And technically what you're doing is you're actually stealing another intellectual property, because you didn't invest any money into that artwork, into that conceptual design, or any brain power to make any of that. You just took someone else's work, copied it, basically changed it a little, and is like, this is mine now. But that's not like legally distinct, adverse to basically like, okay, I like stormtroopers, but let's make something inspired by stormtroopers and make them a little bit our own. And then so you take the concept, you understand it, and because you understand it, you think about it, you dissect it, you break it down to its core elements, then you recreate it by going a different direction. And that is not actually theft, because that is inspiration. That's what sets apart inspiration from theft, right? because there you actually put in muscle and work to make it different. Not only is it different, but when you look at, the Chatfish Trooper versus the Stormtrooper, they're two distinct things. One's a little guy covered in white armor. The other one's got like, a black coat and is wearing like a gas mask and it's got like a heavy helmet. And it's more in the theme of a classical, German World War I Stormtrooper, but with like a laser gun or something, like, and so it's a bit different, isn't it? They're both Stormtroopers, but they both have different lore. They work differently. Maybe one isn't even like spacefaring. They're completely separate entities. When you see these in a store, you won't mistake these two entities as the same thing, right? It'd be like the difference from making like a Halo game, putting it onto a shelf, right? But just calling it Halo with a W, and
Yeah.
just like doing the minorest changes, and Master Chief has cat ears instead. At that point,
He already
that's
has cat ears.
Damn.
Now, I do want to address something chat has been saying when they're talking about
Oh, go for
AI
it.
prices skyrocketing because of all the AI buildup. So
Mhm.
in that regards to that, we actually might see there actually might be some good coming from that, because several big AI companies like Google and Microsoft are actually buying up and supporting nuclear power plants being created and restarted.
My God.
For instance, apparently Microsoft has bought 3 Mile Island. Google is in talks with multiple different things to restart different facilities that were shut down. So we're seeing nuclear power come back
Nuclear
Yeah,
power.
and,
because they need
it's
so much power for these
cleanest.
data centers.
It's one of the cleanest types of energy we can produce. It's also the most cost effective. Nuclear power.
Yeah,
Like, Robert Heinlein, if he was here right now, would be fucking jumping up for joy. I mean,
So not only is nuclear power like quite unironically the greenest energy source, even now this technology as our technology is advancing even more with it, even the waste from it can now be used to power plants.
Why, you don't want to build more solar panels and windmills? Are you sure those can't do the job, Rapier?
Oh
yeah,
my God.
let's use up massive
Hold
swaths
up.
of land
So
that
you,
also damages the environment.
you bring up like the thing, right? There's this ugly ass fucking. I was driving past like an old farm field that I remember. It was very pretty, and I was driving past, and they turned it into a fucking solar farm, and I'm wondering to myself, because they're still building it, right? This is funny to me because in a city, you can look this up. In St. Cloud, there is a wind turbine generator, right? It's supposed to power, I think, the hospital or something. And what was funny about it, if I remember right, is that they only had it on for like a little bit, and then they turned it off because it was more expensive to maintain than to actually use. And so we instead use our coal power plant. I think we also have an atomic power plant, because I think I can probably
Jackie
find
Boy
that.
doing $1.99. Doesn't that make Microsoft a conglomerate?
My God, probably.
These are
Actually.
all tech conglomerates. A lot of these big tech
Yeah.
companies are very diversified. Alphabet, which is Google, is diversified. Microsoft is
Microsoft,
diversified.
the energy producing company.
Also, before
Amazon
we
is
move too far
diversified.
on from the like clear green energy thing, another thing, a recycling plant was opened in Minnesota, right? We opened it up and then we shut it down.
It's because recycling, a
It's
lot
too
of the
expensive.
recycling stuff is,
It's
quite literally, it is a gimmick designed to basically offload costs of that stuff. Like a lot of push recycling a lot of it's a gimmick to offload costs of it to the consumer.
Yeah, nobody's gonna do
Because
it.
it's just cheaper to produce new instead of recycling a lot of that stuff. Significantly. Hell, even sometimes recycling it is worse for the environment because of the toxic shit that they have to pull out of it.
Yes. Now, as to why a lot of this big Silicon Valley AI models are not producing results, and it's usually the smaller than mid-sized. Gibbs, look what I just posted about that Coca-Cola commercial. I don't know if you've seen this yet.
Coca-Cola. Oh
So
no!
while you
Is it
pull
the
that
one I
up, there's
think it
You
is?
are watching.
There is
you
a
are watching that.
question on Twitch, but from Winwraith.
Go ahead.
Where does the boundary lie for things like Suno AI for music generations? Where can you write you can write your own lyrics and then leave the music composition to a generative AI?
So
Arguably, the song wouldn't exist without the human written lyrics.
So when it
but
comes
likewise, it
to-
also wouldn't exist
Yes,
without
yes, yes.
the AI composition.
this is actually easy. So when it comes to music, music's a bit different, right? Music is mathematical, so it's a bit actually much easier to understand how it works there. Now it still has to take other things, right? You can't really monetize AI. And the legality of that is questionable already. Not only is it questionable, but it's looking like, in a lot of cases, and remember, I'm not a legal expert because I'm not a lawyer, but The one thing I will say is that every time it looks like it's being brought up in circles within the industry, anywhere, it usually seems to be that the end point is often that if it's not an in-house proprietary AI made with the consent of the artist that fed it, right? It is not going to be monetizable in the long term. Also, don't forget the social backlash that occurs. Now, there is a line there, right? Because people are so stupid. So, you know that Arc Raiders thing happened a while back, right? And it didn't really have an impact when it came to them using AI, because they do use AI in their game.
Quite a bit.
But they use it more as a tool, and it's their own in-house one, right, Fuzzy?
The voice actors agreed for text to speech. A lot of the animations, the behaviors of the machines, those are not scripting. Those are AI. They use AI models to assist in development of animations, AI behaviors, procedural generation.
That is an example of it being a tool. Because I want to get to the point real quickly. So, like, the entire purpose of how Arc Raiders did it is that they developed it themselves, they fed it themselves, they paid the people.
Correction, Gibbs. We don't know where they got the models. They just said they use AI.
Okay, so we don't know that information. Okay, so it might not be proprietary.
Yeah, it's definitely because if you remember that previous cast where I posted Meshi, it could easily be something similar to that, whereas the third-party AI assisted tool, which is still valuable.
Yeah, and so the big thing there is that they paid the artists, they paid the VAs, and not only did they pay them and compensate them for the work, but then they also basically, hey, is it okay if we pay you and then we can use this thing? And I'm like, yeah, sure. That is business. That is how that should be done. It should not be done as, I'm just going to rip your voice and then try to sell it. It's like, well, that's ethically questionable.
Yes, don't forget also Stardock.
Yeah, Stardock actually developed their own proprietary one, and they used it.
Some
of
their stuff, it was placeholders, and they ended up going through and changing it.
Yep, they use it for.
Some context
hold on. So for Stardock, they use it not only for placeholder art occasionally, they also use it for things, but then they usually replace it. They did experiment with their own proprietary AI and try to create procedural storylines with the Galactic Civ game, but as somebody who played Galactic Civ 4, that ultimately was a bad idea. Procedural based storytelling is horrific. Scripted is always going to be better than procedural.
Procedural's not there yet.
Also, Stepdrock donates $10 to say hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac, Whopper. Hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac, Whopper. Oh, I kid ya. Hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac, Whopper. Hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac, Whopper. Who has open comm slots at the moment? I need a rat miss art. Hashtag sandwich. Hashtag we were right. Hashtag head pats. Thank you for the nation.
So currently, everyone does have a backlog. Let me see who has the least.
The least in the backlogs. My God.
Because I can potentially slide one in for you, Slappy.
Slide one in? That sounds really bad, actually.
But yeah, to give
Why would you say that?
Hold on. Fuzzy, go ahead. So we can segue away from this.
Now, as to why you're saying AI-assisted tools be better than these, what OpenAI does, where they have billions of parameters and variables to take into consideration, it has to do with the math. If you give it too many variables, too many things to consider, a lot of the time we have a thing called overfitting, which, if you understand regression techniques, means you fail to predict a general trend. Now, how does this apply to generative AI? Well, it's you need to constrain it enough to where it can actually produce results. But as we're going to see with this Coca-Cola commercial, when you could just treat it like it do anything and everything, often you fail at everything. If, say, you build an AI model to just help with animations, that is very specific, constrained, and focused. The AI, the math, can actually help you with that. If you're just trying to, say, generate a bunch of textures, that is constrained. You can optimize that. If you're just trying to do, say, even procedural generation with our new maps, that is constrained. You can do that. But if you're going to do what OpenAI does, where, oh, I could do any video, as we're going to see, no, it's going to end up being garbage.
Okay, you know what? Should I just open this?
Yes, let's see the
full
results.
screen that.
Oh, this is terrible. All right. So, context. I know. I'm just giving chat context before we play this for those who are unaware. This is the Coca-Cola ad. Also, if you could,
yearly Christmas.
If you could, can we get some of the old classic Coca-Cola ads too? Or maybe just one. One of the classic, most iconic Coca-Cola
I'll go back
ads.
and get one of their
ones
from
the originals
when I was a kid.
Because You know what? I'll save my opinions for you. All right, so ready? All right, here we go, Chatfish. This is the new Coca-Cola ad made using AI. And you know what? Fine, I'll turn on the music. Let it actually have its what attempts to be atmosphere. So, fun fact
Go
about
to
this.
that Santa.
Fun fact about this, right? It's celebrating Christmas in the spirit of giving. And they fired all the artists that work.
They brought in two
So
AI
they made a
hold on,
big
hold on.
announcement and gloated about how they had so few people working on it this time.
It's like
now, to
we've
give some
given.
business context.
Hold on, just think about that for just a second, Fuzzy. Think about the ethical thing of that, the morality, right? So it's like we made this wholesome Coca-Cola, like Christmas, everyone coming together. By the way, we fired as many people as we could. So just so you know, and made it as cheap and as corporate as possible. So they're not having a Christmas, but Merry Christmas.
They brought in two San Francisco, Silicon Valley AI companies and some famous marketing agency to make this ad. Look at the Santa. You can see the AI problems just everywhere. The beard, the
I think
hat
they
and
used
hair.
AI for the music as well, because it's just holidays are coming over and over and over again.
Yeah, and if you go to a lot of these city scenes, if you look in the background, you could quite quickly see those lights don't look right. Is there something wrong with those buildings?
So not only do the lights not look great, like let's break down the artistic idea and identity of this real quickly. It starts with your classical like cottage, warm lighting and cold surroundings, winter environment, warm fire, cozy, warm interiors with a cold outside sort of create that atmosphere, right? The classic Christmas vibe. And then it's meant to okay, the story structure is that trucks are coming, they're bringing Coca-Cola, and people are going to be happy because they're going to have Coca-Cola, and they're going to have a nice, cool beverage, to enjoy the holiday season, right? On paper, that sounds great. Execution-wise, this looks fucking empty. Like, it looks genuinely bad.
I want to point out, and you can see this because chat is pointing out why the Coca-Cola logo looks on. That's the only bit that people actually touched. They had to go in and add in Coca-Cola, which is why it looks out of place in every single scene.
Yeah, it's edited over the top. It takes even...
Yes, pause here. Go back a few seconds to that scene.
Not just the scene. Look at this. Look at this, Fuzzy. See that bottle? Notice how the...
I try not to think about that.
Look at that. Look at it, Fuzzy. Notice how the logo... I can't zoom in, sadly.
Not really.
But just go back a little bit. When it's on the truck, you can see its shape.
No. Not just the truck, but the cup. It's flat. That's flat. That's a flat logo. If you know what logos look like on a bottle, bottles are round. It should have a curvature to it. It doesn't. It's just the logo. It in the editing software. I know what they did. They just put the text and they just slapped it there.
Now, what you're seeing here is a violation of basic AI and data science and AI principles. Neural network models are to be a last resort. Simple is better than complicated, and complicated is better than complex as a general rule. Which is why you argue optimize your AI assisted tools before you go to generative AI, which much of it is still in R&D right now. And when these companies try to, through cutting costs, much of it due to their own incompetence, especially Silicon Valley incompetence due to their bloated lifestyles, but that's a rant. Look at the results. You have an AI that can seemingly do everything, and it fails at everything. Those animals look off. The Coca-Cola article, the Coca-Cola logos and everything look off. That Santa looks horrible.
It's just... So the big thing is that we have to talk about this because originally, there a long time ago, this is a controversy from the olden days. Before my time, even, really, because I was a little kid, I didn't really understand what was happening. But in the early stages of the 2000s, the very early stages of 2000s and late 90s, there was a huge controversy over CGI versus traditional, right? And it still kind of permeates today, though. The end is CGI one. And what is CGI? CGI is a different type of art style. It's called computer generated images, usually used on, like, characters like the Iron Man, most famously from the Iron Man thing, which actually standardized it and almost actually, I think, killed the artistic aspect of it. Because if you look at CGI pre Iron Man, it was actually an art form. And while it initially, right, you guys remember Phantom Menace, you remember the old Star Wars movies, initially it looked goofy. It did. But over time, what's weird is it actually, old CGI looks better than new CGI. CGI where they had to go in and actually do it and manipulate the models themselves, right? That looks better than the standardized methods that we learned later that developed because of Marvel, right? Because Marvel standardized those things to make them cheaper, but now CGI in modern movies looks bad. Like, genuinely bad. And now it's one of those things where it's like, because the artistic aspect of it was desaturated and taken away from it, it became standardized. It all became formulaic. There was no individuality to set it apart. Individualism and individuality is what brings out art, usually. That's what sets games apart, because each individual team is made up of comprised of different individuals working towards a different thing to create a different identity. In the case of the Coca-Cola commercial, this one was made with two people, but realistically it was two fucking schlums or schmucks basically feeding, an algorithm, and maybe they had to do 28 different prompts or 25 prompts, and God forbid, like, wipe the sweat off their forehead, like, that was a rough day at the work, wasn't it, Jim? Yeah, I had to type in 25 prompts to get that scene right. Yeah, the trucks driving down snowy street, Christmas.
So, as people have dissected this, and there's been massive backlash
Massive,
for
yes.
this, because the ad for this it's even funnier, like they kind of. So they then proceeded to say, like, oh no, we worked hard in this ad. Every scene, the trucks are different.
Yeah, and there's no, because if this was a CGI thing, when they make one of these models, well, one of the models is produced. So what happens when you make a new scene? Well, you use the same truck model again. And so any new scene where there's an aspect that you're using the same thing over, right? You can just use it again. Hence why Star Wars, remember that? You two both remember that. The B1 droids,
like
Control-C, Control-V. Don't focus on things.
What is that?
Focus on Jeff. Focus on the subject, because we need to get through this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what you were just saying about Star Wars, Blake was saying a lot of that was actually practical effects.
Oh, there's all sorts of problems. But, like, listen, we're moving on. Focus on the big subject. So, now let's take a look. Did you grab the other Coca-Cola thing?
I got an ad from 2020.
My
Their ad for 2020.
God.
Which is drastically different.
So let's take a look at the old Coca-Cola advertisement, or an older one from 5 years ago. Okay, using real actors. Cringe.
Product placement.
Talk about a story arc. What the fuck? My God, it's the Coca-Cola truck. But Santa was the Coca-Cola Corporation. This is significant. I know it's funny, but it's significantly
There's a lot more soul in this
wholesome.
than the other
yes.
thing. Yes.
And it's not even close.
Of course, they put up these friggin' things. But yeah, it's a much more wholesome message, right? It's a much more
that is
soulful
Santa in
message.
the driver's seat.
Now, that's because I want to make sure we get through those things. Because don't focus on Chatfish right now. Chatfish are retarded. They're just gonna blabber on about things.
Hey,
I think
Chad,
last we have.
don't
I
forget
want
to
talk
post
about
any
Ubisoft.
articles you want to talk about as well.
Also, chat, if you have any articles for the Fireside stream, be sure to post them in the Bickering Bunch discussion, because if we get through all of them, we're going to wrap up and then move on to the next stream. So if you got articles, post them. Don't fucking sit there and be fat. Like, damn. Now, let's see. What did you say? Nothing in here?
I think we have the last Ubisoft.
Didn't I already
think
open that?
Give it to you in my DMs.
I don't know. You chubby little boy? No.
Now, this is just a rumor, but Friday, Ubisoft requested the stopping of the sharing of their stocks and bonds, pending the delay of their quarterly financial results. Right now, Ubisoft is under $1 billion. I think last I checked, let me get the live data. There it is. Right now, Ubisoft is worth $978.9 million. All of it, if you want to buy the whole thing. In the grand scheme of things, it's chump change. A lot of people think it's Tencent. Some people are thinking the Saudis. Most likely Tencent, as they already own 25%. And yeah, there's a good chance that Ubisoft has been acquired, and a lot of people are theorizing that this is finally happening. We still don't know, as of right now, especially before I was researching for the stream, we don't know what's going on with Ubisoft. Typically, when something like this is done, something major is happening. Whenever they ask for the stopping of their stocks and to delay the quarterly results.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't too surprising. I mean, the thing is, I think everybody knew this day was coming. Ubisoft has been sinking pretty badly
for past 5 years, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, especially the last 2 years have been pretty monstrous for them in terms of how bad things are going.
It's like they've had no major hitters, and if anybody's been, for those that have been paying attention to Ubisoft during that time, there's been lots of consultation on options of where to take the company. There's been a lot of activist investor pressure of, hey, we're losing money, and if there's a buyout, if they think the Ubisoft stock is $1.54 right now, and they could get a deal for, say, $2, they're gonna take that, and they don't care if it's Tencent or the Saudis or anything. They want their money back because they lost a lot. And I'm talking a 90% drop in stock value from around the high of... its high point was $21.24. It is now worth $1.54.
Yep.
A 90+% drop. We're talking $11 billion of market capitalization value just wiped out.
Yeah, it's that. I mean, we said it initially. We didn't even need to add that stuff. The thing is that it's gone. Like, Ubisoft is gone. And
it's likely to be China owned now.
How can they be sinking? They made the first
quadruple
A game.
I forgot about that. Animate accurate. Right. Shut the fuck up. Shut up, Chatfish. No, we got. That's true. They did say that. No,
yes, that is a meme.
Animate Acumen donates $2 says, and people said Yasuka wasn't a good assassin. I guess Yasuka finally put Ubisoft down.
He's in fact the greatest assassin ever. He killed Ubisoft.
He's like, not only did I kill a Japanese man, I killed a French man too. The best Assassin's Creed game. It killed the studio. I sadly don't know. Well, I don't know. I don't know if that was the final nail in the coffin. But I do know that it was everything, man. Like, it wasn't just that game. Like, don't forget Star Wars Outlaws, guys. Star Wars Outlaws had the potential to be something genuinely actually good. Because when we played it, there's like, oh my god, there's so many things where it's like, this could be great. And then it's like, as you're playing it, like, maybe this whole thing will, like, have these mechanics. And then you start playing, like, it's a fucking Far Cry game. It's a Far Cry. Like, so much potential just thrown out the window. And it's not just that. That happened with, like, everything else they did, right? That Pirates game, Skull and Bones, disaster.
Embarrassment. Quadruple A.
Holy shit. Not to mention the Assassin's Creed game before fucking not Black Flag, I'm retarded. Shadows was Mirage, and that bombed. Like that.
That was supposed to be an expansion for Valhalla.
Yeah, and it turned out, didn't they make it standalone? I thought it was a standalone.
Yes.
Okay.
It was. They didn't make it. My main question is, what's taking so long for all this to be finalized? As if you look at the stock price, it's been around this gutter for a long time, for a good few years now. There are a couple of theories. One, there are a bunch of private equity activist investors, the French government, all these parties fighting over it, and it's creating a regulatory headache of, okay, how can we finally finalize this acquisition deal? Because the Guillemons are desperate to go private at this point. They want to maintain control, but if they don't have the money, they just flat out don't have the money to take it private. And what's their only partner willing to help them? Tencent. Who, at this point, it's chump change to just do a hostile takeover at this point.
That's true. Also, Sternrat donates a generous $40 reduce. Thank you very much. He says, got an ad for friction tired. No sticking with studded tires. Okay. This is a D. Gotcha. Got an ad for friction tires. No sticking with studded tires. Don't have a death wish. Have a happy and safe #Ratmas. Chat, Thanksgiving hasn't happened. We're getting ahead of ourselves here. #fit, #cookie, #defun. Christmas isn't until after. Okay, like, oh my god. You guys are
Don't you know, Kibbs? Don't you know? Holidays are coming.
God damn it, chat. Like, I love Christmas a lot, but we can't start celebrating Squackmas yet until Thanksgiving. Turkey Day hasn't happened, chat. No
and
Turkey
you
Day.
can't have Turkey Day till you activate Rifford's Chatfish.
Rifford will be killed. He's like, wait, in Sternrat's
already on.
Oh, yes? Okay. Rifford. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's
He's
Rifford
above me.
for you and me. I know, but I forgot how the alphabet works, so I have to say it out loud sometimes. His Chatfish is new. So it's at
Now,
the
there
top.
is an article. Also, Yinless, if you want that to be over, post it in discussions.
By the way, if there are articles we have covered already, feel free to post them, because sometimes I actually learn a little bit more since we last did these firesides. Remember, firesides are rapid fire, meaning that we do these streams pretty much the minute there's like enough big news, or like we're gonna do them about every 2 to 3 days. And then the Bunchcast will do its own thing. The Bunchcast is going to be more focused on singular topics and bigger topics, versus the firesides are basically to cover everything. Because the reality is that the Bunchcasts weren't actually happening fast enough just for us to get through information. And so we had to create the fireside chats in order to stay on top of the news without literally having to pick and choose and let things slide. Because there was a lot that was sliding back before we do this. Like, tons. Christmas begins with Maria Carey says it begins, says Sirha. Well, Sirha, does it? Ratmas art? You could have. Semper Grinch. Grinch rats. Oh my god. Thanksgiving comes first, that's true.
It a Ratmas. I guess there's a Ratmas art fund now.
And now I know you Europeans are just like looking at us like, what's a Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving is the day of feasting. It is a day that Europeans should celebrate. It is a day that you got rid of us. So you should look at the bright side. It's a day that we might as well celebrate as that. We got rid of those stinky Americans. Because think about it. We're the Americans or all the rejects from Europe? And so that's what that is. Jeffers are just sitting there looking at me like, what?
YouTube crashed on me again.
Good.
Nice.
YouTube is behaving as
we do have an article. A $1 billion company, you know.
Wait, did we get through everything?
We have an article from Plaka.
Oh, yeah. What's this? Peter Thiel?
That's the SoftBank thing.
Oh, yeah, that was part of that. Oh, I just forgot to open it. Oops.
He hits hits Sticky. Still a max tier bounty. Currently, Rifford and occasionally Harlot are going for it.
Oh.
These open com slots. Technically, they're all should be closed. Lycan just has the least.
And so Lycan
But
will suffer.
we will start your. I have started the fun for you, Stormrat. My choice. Got you. I'll put that towards Lost Planet then. Fantastic game, that, chat. We should definitely get Kibbs to play it. He will freeze to death a lot.
That's true. We are the people who got sick of the European style of government. Well, no, actually, I don't think we are the people. Our ancestors are. Because technically, we're multiple generations later. We just carry on their spirit, you know? Because we didn't grow up in...
I'm pretty sure I have ancestors from Austria.
Rapier's Hitler. Confirmed. Rapier's Hitler. Confirmed. Or he's got a big chin.
I too have Habsburgs in my line.
Like, we have like a bunch con and we meet Rapier and this massive fucking chinned motherfucker shows up.
I just,
like,
my
he's inbred.
entire face is just a chin.
So we've got some news here for chat bros. This is actually important. Chatfish, pay attention. Gather around.
Flake news.
It's not just Flake news. There are a lot of people actually I know like these games. They're not really for me, but that doesn't matter. Corpse Party Tetralogy Pack canceled for the West. The contents of several games did not comply with current platform guidelines.
Uh-huh.
Which means, what does that translate to? Censorship is what that translates to. That's censorship. These games did not, they're fictitious media. What didn't they comply with? They had nudity in them? What, they had somebody getting murdered in them? From what I know about the Corpse Party stuff, because I do know basic shit, it's like, you know, horror, and people get murdered.
Probably someone got raped or something.
Yeah, or something like that. And guess what? Part of that stuff is like, it's fictitious media. Nobody actually got, you know, struggled in these games. They are fake. They are fake. They aren't real. They cannot hurt you. If you do not like this game, let me help you. Don't buy it. You're welcome. There. I have solved the great mystery of why censorship is pointless in media. You're welcome, chatfishes. You have been saved. I will take my awards. Just don't buy it. There you go. Problem solved, everyone. Problem solved, everyone. You don't like a game? Don't buy it. You don't like Assassin's Creed Shadows? Don't buy it. Guess what? You didn't, and guess what happened? It went tits up. I think I didn't even buy it. I normally buy like almost everything for streaming, but like even I was like, fuck, man, I can't be asked. I think that wasn't it? Didn't we not do it at all? I don't think I did.
I don't remember.
Like, usually I'll play games. I usually will force myself to endure things just for the sake of streaming, but there are some games where I look at them like, nah. And I just don't buy it. You know what I mean? And you know what we did with the Shadows? We didn't buy it. And we never will. No, we did with Concord? We didn't buy it. And we never will because it's dead. Thank fucking God.
My favorite thing with Concord is that fans tried to bring back custom servers and now they're getting taken down. Sony has killed the game twice.
That is fucking funny. Okay, we should talk about that, but let's not move past this subject. Actually, go find the article for that, because that is actually important, because that's video game preservation.
I'll find it in a sec, because I need to dig up one that Yinless is requesting, but not hosting.
Also, Polly gives 5 generous memberships. Polly, you'll be sent to Valhalla, or Bucket Holla.
To the Femboy Mines?
Okay, well, I wasn't going to tell him, but yeah. Wasn't going to tell. It was going to be surprised when he got off the boat. Animate Acumen $2 says the Fuda cannot hurt you. I mean, you're right. It won't, because I won't buy it. There you go. Problem solved. Fixed. Just wow, genius. I know, I am. Smart. So, economic genius Kib over here. S-M-A-T. Smat.
Yeah, that thing. That should be talked about.
Yep.
Fuzzy.
Yeah, I forgot it.
No, hold on. Let's focus on the Corpse Party thing. So, basically, Corpse Party fans, people who like this game, were super excited because there's going to be a Tetralogy pack, which I think is 4, right? Yeah, Tetralogy. So there were going to be 4 games bundled together for the Switch, stating that the contents of several games in the collection did not comply with current platform guidelines. Again, hypocritical censorship, I almost guarantee you. Well, let's see if we can figure out what exactly it was. Corpse Party Tetralogy Pack first launched on the Switch on the August 7th in Japan with English language support and includes the 2021 re-release of Corpse Party, Corpse Party Book of Shadows, Corpse Party Sweet Sachiko's Hysteric Birthday Bash, and Corpse Party Blood Drive. Here is the full message from Xseed on the games, or the games on the cancelled release. Corpse Party fans, We know how much you were anticipating the release of the Corpse Party Tetralogy Pack. Though we previously released entries in the Corpse Party series on console platforms and digital storefronts in the West, we were informed that the contents of several games in the Tetralogy Pack did not comply with current platform guidelines. As a result, we are unable to release these games as intended and have subsequently canceled the physical release of Corpse Party Tetralogy Pack, as well as the digital offerings of previous unreleased Corpse Party game features featured in the Tetralogy Pack. We apologize for any confusion and disappointment this may have caused, even though it's not really your fault. We remain committed to working with our partners at Mages. Who is this? Exceed? Yeah, they weren't the people that canceled. It was Nintendo, wasn't it? Yeah. So our partners at Mages to bring Corpse Party 2 Darkness Distortion to the West, and we'll share more details on its release when we can. Thank you for your understanding and continued support of Exceed Games and the Corpse Party franchise, Exceed Games. Okay, so they don't list the specific reasons that it was canceled. But I guarantee you it's ironic and hypocritical.
Nintendo, yeah, Nintendo's hypocritical in their censorship. As if you're those of you old enough to remember the Wii days, who here remembers Mad World? You want to talk about bloody naughty games? Ooh.
So
talk about a
Fuzzy. Witcher 3 is on Switch, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Witcher 3 has sex in it. It's got nudity and shit. Why can't this game
That's okay
be?
though, because it's not an anime.
Yeah, but remember, this is a better example because it is very graphic.
Yeah, I mean,
Remember,
so is Witcher.
there's different standards
cut
for
people's arms
Western
off.
style and versus anime style.
And you kill a woman by literally speaking the rear.
Yeah, so it's one
No,
of.
I'm not joking.
I know. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying it's hypocritical that they do that because there are games of the Switch that do have stuff like this. And honestly, any form of censorship whatsoever in terms of media is kind of pointless, right? Like, even crap like Mein Kampf and other, like, retarded books written by people from, like, history that were bad. Like, we don't censor that. We shouldn't. We just let it be there. It's just media. People can read it and people can decide for themselves. They don't need to be blocked from it because the reality is that it doesn't matter. It's old fucking schlargen from fucking the 30s. Nobody gives a damn anymore. It's been almost 100 goddamn years. The issues of today are not the same as the issues of yesteryear. Who is more oppressed, gamers or weebs? The reality is that this actually affects both gamers and weebs. I know that was a joke statement.
Gamers.
Are they? Because weebs have it pretty bad too, I suppose, don't they?
So, there was a law in, like, I think it was the 1800s. One of the first times the word gamer was used, it was referred to people who play, like, backgammon and stuff. There was a law banning them from being able to play. Like, people will play stuff. I remember seeing an article about it, like, a month or so ago. So yes, gamers have always been oppressed.
I'm sorry. I just noticed what Hugo Foggy wrote in chat. Welcome to Germany. Criminal offense here. Damn. I'm talking about normal, civilized, not backwater nations. He's like, eep. But it shouldn't be banned in Germany either. It doesn't matter anymore. That's what I mean. Like, yes, there are places that ban media. That exist today. There are Western media that's banned in China. There's Asian media that's banned. Actually, is it really banned in the United States? I don't think there's actually that much banned in the United States that I'm aware of. There is.
Not really, not much.
There's entire sections in bookstores for banned books.
Yeah, because we like promote it.
It's a little PR stunt of my book's banned. Come buy it.
Yeah, big correction. There's no government banned stuff, and not really any government banned stuff in the U.S. Looks at PayPal, Visa, MasterCard.
Oh,
And a
that's true. I forgot about that. That was a controversy from a while back that still permeates today and still affects the games industry quite badly. But sadly, there's been no changes on that front, motion-wise. Still the same crap. Germany.
There's so much going on.
Yeah, but
The
be nice
Virgin
to each other.
Anarchist Cookbook, the Chat
Yeah.
Improvised Munitions Manual.
Every time I look over in chat, European chatfish, whenever some other European chatfish is sad about their own situation, ha ha ha, you're like, you're as bad as Britain, and then the other, like, European fish is like, ha ha ha. It's
Meanwhile,
like,
us here in the Chad US look all, you're all off.
I mean, we do the same thing to other states.
We do. It's funny. It's ironic. It's ironic.
But we're united in our hatred of Europe.
That is true.
Specifically Germany.
Except Commuphonians.
They're basically Germans. They're basically Germans just looking at us like, why you gotta do this to us? Why you gotta... Alright. But yeah, so that's the corpse party stuff. Either way, still fucking bullshit, but it's not surprising coming from the Nintendo crap. Nintendo has a tendency to be genuinely
Hypocritical.
terrible when it comes to this stuff. They're bad. Nintendo is bad when it comes to censorship. They not only are bad, they're abusers of like copyright. They're fucking patent abusers now. Like, actually, I think they were before then. It's just one of those things where it's like, I hate Nintendo. Like, there's a couple of mega corporations I really hate in the games industry. Sony's up there, but like, honestly, I put Microsoft higher because I have to deal with Microsoft more. So it's like, I have to deal with them because I have Windows.
They also bought a lot of companies I liked and ruined a lot of IPs I liked.
Oh, they destroyed pretty much everything I like, yeah.
Yeah.
They destroyed everything.
The only thing they've been doing decently is Age of Empires. But Nintendo is also very high up there, as we just discussed, for barefaced hypocrisy, raising up $80 games, raising the prices of the Switch 2, and Switch 2 has its own problems, and not being very helpful to third-party developers. Meaning if you buy a Switch 2, you're likely to only buy Nintendo games. Meaning if you want access to that platform, well, you're going to be struggling. It's frustrating, because for all the good they do, you can name a lot of bad.
Yeah, I don't know. And by the way, Little Plake, the little purple hat chatfish says, it's okay for Nintendo Japan, though. Yeah, like, what's weird is it's the American branch that's not okay with it. Which is funny, because when it comes to censorship, Japan's actually worse with censorship, because they literally censor entire parts of history that tell Japanese people about what Japan did in World War II. It's sort of like, historically, and it's educationally treated like this weird black spot, where it's like, we got nuked for some reason. Sad. Victim. It's like, what, motherfucker?
So the world squints their eyes at you and going, you had it coming.
Like, you got the Filipinos looking up from their country. You got the fucking, like, Chinese looking at them like, you know, you got the Koreans looking down at them like, dude, what the fuck? Dude, what the... Like, you fucking... you, dude, what the...
Even not gonna say the N-word on YouTube. Even the Germans would look at Japan and going,
oh, dead end.
wow. Yeah, we'll go look at them and go, wow. You did some work. Yikes.
Yeah. What's funny is Germany and Italy acknowledges that, and they educate that, right? But like,
Yes.
but when it comes to Japan, Japan's like, we didn't do nothing. Japan's just like China. China also is that way too, by the way. China's like, we didn't do nothing either. We didn't do nothing either.
Yeah, your barbarian state's government didn't do anything during its rise. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so it's interesting. And that's what I find ironic about this, right? Because they actually have higher censorship stuff, usually across the board. But we, for some reason, are not okay with buying Corpse Party as a game. But what's weird is, like, Corpse Party as a game is on GOG, isn't it? It's on Steam, isn't it? Can you guys check that real quick?
I'll look it
Because
up.
I'm pretty sure, because, like, yeah, it's not like most platforms didn't censor it, that I'm aware of. Nintendo... Oh, I almost said the bad word. Nintendo
As a
does.
mobile game.
Yeah, it's on Steam, says Plague. Yeah, it's even on mobiles and stuff. Like, so it's not censored in the
Yeah,
West.
it's
just
it's on sale on Steam.
for
even.
whatever reason, Nintendo America is can't say the word. But there are a bunch of words I can't say that have to do with slow
It's on
things.
GOG.
With slow things. So yeah, it's just Nintendo being, you know, that word.
Dodos.
Yeah, that's the word. Schnitzels or something.
They say Clef and going
This
dodo.
is Nintendo enjoying Froggy Chair.
Yeah, join the froggy chair like everybody else. Oh my god, Nintendo's sitting in the froggy chair, like, you know, legs crossed, and is like watching, you know, intently as Steam like earns money. Like, yeah.
Looking at the GameCube, like,
Yes, print money. Oh yeah. I like what I see.
We should sue you because your box is a cube like our old console.
They're probably thinking about it.
Like, yeah, it's a weird thing. Ever since I always remember Reggie Fils-Aimé when, oh god, the clips he's taken at Nintendo ever since he got out. It is not surprising.
That Reggie guy, right?
Face bombing. Yeah, Reggie Fils-Aimé.
Yeah, he was
The
actually
stuff he
apparently holding.
revealed-
He's actually apparently a pretty decent dude in terms of like decision making. Because from what
Yeah,
I
he knows
understand,
business.
he was actually the one advocating for Nintendo to make the right moves. And when he left, the only powerful voice inside Nintendo America that was making the right calls was gone. And because it was gone,
Yeah.
now Nintendo's making all the wrong calls.
Yeah, and when he left, there was also this one Japanese baker that was CEO for a few years that led Nintendo to the Switch era. He was reversing a lot of bad decisions. When he, on top of Reggie, left, a lot of the bad executives that were still there decided to go back to their bad habits, and all the work that Reggie and the good people built up, well, that's slowly being undone. Because speaking of Nintendo, we have a Metroid Prime 4 story.
Yes, and I'm trying to find a clip because I posted one the other day, and I'm just gonna glance through and find
Oh yes,
it.
I must open up the next article. There are many to go to. Oh god.
Now, I did not expect this.
Hold on, opening it.
When
you
I'm not
go.
going to say the YouTubers who brought this to my attention, but who made a video on this, and
I'll post a clip of it.
what do you think of Metroid?
So,
Isolation?
let's read
Quiet?
the title real quick. So far, Metroid Prime 4 doesn't feel much like a Metroid at all. And I'm worried. Sorry. Alright. The picture.
Now,
got
who
me.
is that thing? That is a character. That is in game.
Yeah, I know.
That's a
I know. It's
quippy
funny.
character. That's a quippy sidekick. That's a
I
quippy
posted a
sidekick.
link to
You get.
clips from him talking.
Okay, fine. We'll get some examples for the little chairfishies.
They're quite bad.
Later.
Whoa! You are sneaky quiet, you know that?
Oh, that's Marvel as fuck.
Alone, on a planet, no hope of survival. But you're also not sitting next to Phil anymore in that cubicle, so... Win?
Metroid. Yeah, this is just one character you can meet, and no, this isn't just a one-time thing. This is for significant parts of the game, and perhaps the entire
So-
game. You meet other characters that constantly talk to you.
Now,
I want to point out as well,
oh, good.
because I saw this was announced earlier the other day, and I finally found it. So, one of the, based on how this is written, one of the main writers who worked on Metroid Prime 4 here was the co-writer for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh no.
Oh god.
So it's gonna have Jedi Fallen Order writing, which is basically gonna be
As-
very Marvel-esque sloppy. Reddit.
There's also
Yeah.
one other thing this side character does. Whenever you're exploring and you have to escort him, otherwise you get a game over. He will just outright tell you what to do and point out the obvious, even though you're supposed to figure
God
out
of
where to
War.
go. Yeah,
The puzzles. Yes.
it's like even in Metroid Dread, where it follows the Metroid Fusion, you still had a sense of exploration of how you get there, and there's still a sense of isolation. In this, it looks like they're throwing all of that out, and now that sense of isolation and dread and oppressiveness you feel, well, we saw a warning sign of how much of this is actually Metroid Prime, how much of this is Metroid, and people are raising legit questions of this, as this is not a minor break in the formula, this is a major break in the formula.
Yep.
Also,
Well,
to
yeah,
answer
because... Oh, yep. Hold on. So, really quickly, I'm going to go through because we need to actually talk about this from the beginning, from the top. So let me do this real quick. So chat, a lot of you probably haven't played Metroid Prime. In fact, I'd wager the majority you haven't. But to briefly break down Metroid Prime, what it is, it's a single-player game on the GameCube, and it came out also for the Wii, that was primarily focused from Samus's perspective. And it's usually kind of quiet and isolated. Now, I will say that isn't necessarily good storytelling either, because there was elements of Metroid Prime that kind of was iffy, but they also had characters where you did meet characters, actually. In the sequel, you did meet a character, the little chicken-looking person, you know.
There's also soldiers occasionally
Yep.
you'd encounter.
You could meet characters. The Metroid Prime not having characters in it isn't like, that's not the issue here. The issue is specifically the presentation of the characters that they are creating. These characters, writing and narratively, follow what I call the Marvel slop, meaning that it's got this sort of like quippy nature to it where every 5 seconds there must be a joke, there must be a quip, and it must be borderline parodical. You know, like it must be just constantly jovial all the time. You can't be super sincere. You can't have too much edgy or dark moments because that might be, you know, not funny, and that's not good. So we're gonna have constant quips, constant like little snips and snides, and that's the Marvel formula. And that was unironically Jedi Fallen Order, and that entire Jedi like 2 series of games was just that crap.
Movie slop.
Yeah, it's just that Marvel slop. I don't know. I call it Marvel slop, but yeah, it's just annoying.
I call it movie slop. That's only because I'm not familiar with the term Marvel slop.
It's a specific storytelling framework. So it's a perversion of a trend that had existed before, but before it wasn't as bad. I'll give you an example of this. An example of this Marvel slop trend would be actually the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings. How Gimli and Legolas interact with each other is an example. Because Gimli and Legolas' characters in the movies is more like quippy and constantly snide, snippy. But here's the big difference, right? That doesn't always happen all the time non-stop, does it, in the original movies for Peter Jackson? It doesn't. It sort of, you know, mellows out a little bit, and it has its darker moments. It's not always quipping. You can have humor in a dark story, right? And so that's the Lord of the Rings movies. Basically, you take that same Legolas Gimli sort of like quippy nature, and now you take that and you have that as your core thing. Not as supporting characters, but as the core aspect of the story. And if you overdo it, it completely destroys the atmosphere, the mood, and the tone and everything else. Marvel started to do this pretty badly. They didn't really do it with the first Iron Man movie, because the first Iron Man movie had some pretty dark moments. But as the Marvel series went on, they started to lean harder on this quippy nature, which became incredibly popularized. And what was also coincidental, and it's happens that Marvel was doing it too. What also was happening too is you also notice other writers, because again, writers talk to each other in circles, right? And so somebody will share an idea, and so you'll notice that everyone will kind of do similar different takes on an idea because they'll take inspiration from it. The issue is that all writers started to do this quippy sort of style of banter all the time, and what that created was an insincere feeling where the setting was never really taking itself seriously. Like whenever there was a big bad thing happening and people could die or people were dying, it was always undermined by it had to be a little lighthearted, had to be quippy, couldn't be too dark, you know, because we had to keep it light. And because of that, you know what I mean? Like it just lost all its potency. And just like what Fuzzy said, this character doesn't fit. Like Metroid Primes, they do have characters. There are characters that talk to you, or talk to Samus, I guess, not you, because you play as Samus, right? And there are story elements where characters actually talk, but it's not
There's
like
a
this.
execution.
Yes, it's
There's
not
a certain execution that has to be followed.
It's okay to have a quip, it's okay to have a joke here or there, right? To lighten the mood. It could even be a great quip and a great joke in a dark story can actually really humanize the story a bit. And what I mean by that is humans, when we experience horrible traumas and dark things, we sometimes use humor to lighten the mood. You know, because being bleak and despair is not what every human wants to do. They want to kind of break away from that. A little bit of brevity for the situation, right? And so a quip from a character like this once in a while would be okay. But the issue is that from everything we've seen, and this could be bad marketing, but I doubt it, but it could be. Everything we've seen with this character, anytime he's on screen, anytime he's interacting, it's insufferable and intolerable. Now, I will say, we won't know for certain until it comes out, but I don't think I'm going to buy it because it's on Switch too, and Frank, I'm not really interested in that. So yeah, but I will just say
it's
that...
on Switch 1 also, but obviously the Switch 2 is going to be preferred.
Because the big thing I will say is that I do want to always underline that just take it with a bit of, consideration that bad marketing has happened in the past, and it's important to factor that in because sometimes terrible marketing can actually torpedo a game. Happens. But I'm not entirely sure I believe that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would advise you to be wary if you're thinking about buying this game. Be wary, wait for the results, wait for the reviews and raw footage to come out, as this came out recently. We've had a lot of pretty good Metroid Prime 4 footage and marketing before this, and you get the impression that they're trying to hide this for as long as possible. And for it to just come out now, so close to release, makes you really get worried.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's definitely concerning because it feels like it's lost its tone, which is kind of a shame because narratively, I actually like the idea of seeing the Federation a bit more in the Metroid universe because I always thought that was an underutilized element of the story, and I would like to see them played up a bit more in the story and the relevance. But
now it's
not this route.
Yeah.
Now,
there is one thing I always have to reiterate this point. The original Metroid Prime came out 23 years ago.
Yeah, 2 decades ago. We're going on 3 decades now, actually.
Yeah, or approaching yet. Still a bit away.
Yep.
Metroid Studio, and with the way the economy is, yeah, but these were the shepherds of the Metroid Prime games. How much of those people are still there? How much of that retro spirit is still there? As you can tell the game was competently made. Nintendo has very good quality control and development standards for a lot of its studios, even if there is crunch and everything. So much time has passed, and one thing is clear, the restarting and switching from a different studio did not affect this, and to Nintendo's credit, they look like they managed that quite well. And Retro Studios managed that quite well, where they took something, they took what looked really bad, and yeah, they're going to be able to ship a complete product, as far as we can tell. But, again...
so for reference as well, in regards to this stuff, the writing, it looks like a lot of the people who worked on the writing left around 2022 and 2023. So they finalized the writing, they haven't really had people come in, besides, I think, one person who was a contractor worker.
Mm-hmm.
Who, I don't know if he's actually done anything. Jesse Keeter?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with his name.
That's an important date, as in 2019 was when Retro Studios started developing this, after it was taken away from Bandai Namco in 2017. So, man, this game was announced 8 years ago. About 8 years ago? Yeah, 8 years ago. It's been a long time. And Retro Studios has had 6 years to develop this.
6 years is an adequate time for a AAA.
Yeah.
The point being, the writing kind of was finished a good while ago, and they've kind of just going off of that, it seems like.
Potentially.
Yeah,
Now, I will say when it comes to writing and dialogue in big studios, because I do know a little bit about this, depending on the studio in question, writing can actually change last minute relatively, because they still have to animate the characters and the talking and stuff like that, as long as the shooting is done, right? But like, it could have been added relatively recently, as in, like, by recent I mean like 4 years ago, instead of like, like the 2019 period. So who knows? I mean,
I did say 2022.
Oh yeah,
So 3 years ago.
That kind of lines up. So that could have taken place, and I will say that Marvel slop trend, I think it's still at it. I don't know if we've reached the zenith point of it, but it's still pretty heavily prevalent now. Today.
Yeah. Also, have the latest donations been read?
Oh, no. And Ackman donates $10 say, honestly, the millennial equipping makes sense. They go to that well so much because they haven't infantilized. Oh, God, why am I having a hard time today? let's just reread that. Okay, 1 second. Not
It's
wearing
quippy.
glasses.
There's a typo.
I'm just scooting it up a little bit because I'm nearsighted. All right, so honestly, the millennial God damn it, Rapier, shut the fuck up. Honestly, the millennial quipping makes sense. They go to that well so much because they have infantilized themselves to the point of not being able to handle any measure of stress. They crumble. Yes, that's also true. But it's also, not is it necessarily also true, it's just a popular trend too, by the way. Like, it worked well for Marvel. Marvel made a fucking killer amount of money. And so when it comes to narrative stuff, there are trendsetters just like there are for everything else, and there are trend followers. And because it's a popular trend, everybody wants to copy it. Remember that new Star Wars crap? The new Star Wars crap has quipping that's honestly agitating. I've seen at least 2 of the movies. I've seen The Force Awakens, and I've seen The Last Jedi, or whatever it was called. Or not, whatever it was. It was bad. Not The Last Jedi, that was the second one. The third one. Whatever it was. It was ass. And it does that same thing with the quippy thing, where it's just constantly joke. Pirates of the Caribbean did the same thing when they got rid of like the other serious characters, and it was just Jack. It was just too much quippy, too much jokey. And it sort of lost all sense of tension, because even the old Pirates of the Caribbean had darker, creepier moments.
Yeah.
Even though it was lighthearted, or sad and tragic moments with, like, you know, oh my god, the Dutchman. Yeah, I forgot his character name for a second. Where, like, you know, his
Jones.
broken heart, basically. And so it has these darker moments. And when you look at the older Star Wars, same thing. Dark moments, but still has quips. Go for it. What's up?
As I said, there was also 2 donations before that.
Oh, shit! Hold on, scrolling up.
And I have breaking news that just was posted.
Really? Alright, let me read these quick and then we'll read it. 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Polly donates $5. I advocate we use the term waterheads for some people. It's fun to say, and it's not the evil word. Waterheads? Waterhead? Don't be a waterhead, Chatfish. Like, oh, why I oughta... Thank you for the donation. Same takes. Can we delete him or mod him out? This character? Probably not,
No.
considering it's Nintendo. Remember?
Nintendo is... If you mod your console, Nintendo will brick it.
Yeah, not only will they brick it, they'll also be like if you're in Japan, you'll go to jail.
You'll be arrested.
Holy shit!
Literally, this was just posted a minute ago.
Half-Life 3
Wow.
has been listed on Instant Gaming. It's all but announced, Chatfishes. Wait, no, hold on. Is that... No, wait, hold on. Don't get excited, Kib. That picture... Is that picture part of the original art? No. Also, this background art right here with the hand, that is concept art from Half-Life 2. I'm already debunking myself. This is also from Half-Life 2. Is this pictures added or is this the originals? Okay, let me see. Because I'm not even a big Half-Life fan, but I looked at a lot of art and concept art because, you know, I'm a game dev. It's what I do. Yeah, this might actually be happening right in chat. Oh no, that
is so fitting.
Yeah, I
there's
don't.
the link right there.
Instant Gaming. Who are these people and how? Okay, so here's an issue, right? This right here, this background picture is very good. I hate how good it is. It's gross. This is Half-Life 2 concept art. This is also Half-Life 2 artwork. Nothing here besides the edited Lambda logo having a 3 on it is relevant. And it being having a snowy background might be reminiscent of that ship plot from what was supposed to be the sequel. So again, I'm not so sure if this is confirmation.
So people will also, with the Gabe Cube announcement video, people were picking apart things and showing like, oh wait, this is referencing Half-Life. This is referencing Half-Life. This scene you can see like reflection of someone, and it's the G-Man's face in the reflection here.
I do think they'll use the new Half-Life, if they are, to basically advertise the new Gabe Cube. It'd be foolish not to. What?
It's gonna be Half-Life Alyx 2.
I mean, I'd like Half-Life Alyx 2, but people would still be disappointed. And also, no, it shouldn't be Half-Life Alyx 2. Narratively, that doesn't make sense. Her story is on ice because she now needs Gordon to rescue her.
But Valve can't count to 3, Kibs.
Oh my god.
No, wait. I know what it'll be. Day Defeat 2.
Half-Life, the trading card game. Just people hanging themselves.
Day Defeat 2 or to be The Lab 2.
Welcome to Half-Life trading card collecting game. Just like start screaming.
Or as a sequel to the VR game.
Yeah.
It can't be a sequel to Half-Life Alyx. Well, it can't be called Half-Life Alyx. It won't make any sense. Because
Half-Life Barney.
I mean, I like the setting of Half-Life, so I don't mind spin-offs of the story and expanding the universe, but I do want a continuation of the mainline game.
So same. There's so many clips and GIF of the Gordon Freeman Hope and Cope things, by the way.
Yes, unironically, I think that right now, chat, what I need to do is just become this image.
Hold on, I posted a even better one.
Oh my god. That's a good edit. it encapsulates, I think, everyone's feelings on the matter.
It's so good. Now, will this come with a new Source Engine release?
I would
actually, I can
assume so.
Actually, that one I gotta say yes. Source 3 is coming.
Because
yeah, that
Half-Life
will be
3,
a game changer.
Half-Life 3 being released on the current source now would be not only a missed opportunity, that I would actually be fucking livid. Honestly.
So
Yeah,
I want to point out the Source 3 or whatever. Like I remember seeing the other day an actual post about that just software coming out. So like that's coming. As far as I'm concerned, that is definitely coming.
Yeah, and we badly need an alternative to Unreal Engine 5, and a new Source Engine, well, here's a brand fancy new engine, and here's how to use it, and it looks fantastic, it runs great, yada yada yada. It's the golden goose.
Now
Here's more competition.
Here's another good point towards we probably are actually getting Half-Life 3. Valve straight up made the statement they won't be releasing a new Half-Life until they want to try to push software or hardware. They're pushing both right now.
Yes, the GameCube is coming out. The new VR system is coming out. If I had to wager a guess, here's my Kib theory. It's a Kib theory. So my Kib theory is that it's a new Half-Life 3 is coming. The GameCube is coming out so that the GameCube can run Half-Life 3. If it couldn't, that'd be retarded. And then the new Index coming out, the new VR stuff. It will be a game that you can play mouse and keyboard, but have the option to playing VR as well. And it has the option to switch seamlessly between the two and interact with both. And the multiplayer, if I had to guess, feature would be that people could have mouse and keyboard, or they could have the VR as well. It'll be a VR and standard mode capable.
Oh yeah, the Steam OS version 3 is also a thing.
Yes.
Or like the new version, because that's coming with the GameCube.
Hold on. It will herald not only the new Source Engine, but it will herald Team Fortress 3, Portal 3, and let us not forget Little Bucket Fishes, Left 4 Dead 3.
Don't get up too much. This is be glad for half.
Left 4 Dead 4.
They just skip the third one. Like, listen, you didn't want to see that one. You didn't want...
Left for 5.
If it was VR only, Morty, that would be suicidal to do that. They're not going to do that. And if they do that,
Alex,
I'm going to start screaming loudly.
VR only because they were pushing their headset. That was what the big push for their headset was.
It's also a spin-off.
Now they're pushing a console.
Yep. To make the third game VR exclusive would be to literally shit on the entire audience that's been loyal to you for that long. If they do that, and if they do, oh my god, I'll be so mad. Like, there's a couple things that they could do that would just drive me up the fucking wall, and that is one of them. Because, don't get me wrong, I have a VR, but like, I want to play mouse and keyboard. Like, VR is like a thing that I don't always want to do. And honestly, I haven't dusted up my VR set since... I think Half-Life Alyx stream, honestly. I think that was the last time I used it, was the Half-Life Alyx stream we did. Chatfishes. That was a long time ago. Long time. You can also mod Alyx to be standard? Yes, but they should have it as a feature, in my opinion. You shouldn't have to mod it, in my opinion.
Now, we did skip a couple articles because this was breaking news, quite literally.
Yes, no, we skipped a bunch. This is huge. So like
Yes.
I have to process this. I have to process.
Like, yeah, there's an actual store page on a site for Half-Life 3 now.
Man,
That's
oh my
huge.
god. If it is announced, chat, we have to do a full playthrough of the Half-Life franchise. Oh my god. Alex included. Oh, we gotta crush Jeff again. I hate Jeff. Jeff gave me nightmares, unironically. Jeff is the fucking goddamn headcrab zombie mutant thing in Half-Life Alex that you have to hide from. Oh, I hate that.
Oh, I never played through Alex, so yeah.
It was the most terrifying, I think, thing I've ever done in my life. Like, that's up there. I have nightmares of that thing sometimes. But yeah, my face. Oh my gosh. Half-Life 3 is gonna come, chat. There is hope. The games industry is healing. We need this, chat. We need this. The image, this image is a hoax. I'm calling it now. Or if it is real, it's why are they using the wrong imagery? This again, the reason why I think this is a hoax. This concept art from Half-Life 2. I can tell right off the bat because guess what? Your boy Kib loved looking through concept art stuff for video games he is passionate about. That is that. This Gordon Freeman here, this is a Half-Life 2 promotional art piece. I mean, so is this technically. These are Half-Life 2. All the artwork in this here is not related to Half-Life 3. It's fabrication. They made it up. It's a lie. So I do think that Half-Life 3 is coming, but I don't think that this is real. Or, alternatively, this is intentional, and this is a Kibspiracy. This is an intentional leak by Valve, who leaked that Half-Life 3 would be coming and that they could list it, but only that they could use the false art as a basic fake leak. And the reason why studios do this is, again, to poke the waters before the actual release, to see if there's anything they need to freak out about, reactionary-wise, that they need to be worried about. That is something that happens quite a lot with actual fake news drops and stuff like that. Or not fake news, but intentional leakage. Kibspiracy there. Yeah, added sound effects. As bad as Gabe is, his son is worse. What? Gabe? Gabe has actually done a lot of great for the industry. Some might say that, oh, he started DRM, but DRM was already in the works. And also, Steam not necessarily doesn't really, what's the word? Can be played and downloaded offline. Since Doomer Pill. Black pilling is going on, chat. Quick! Black pilling is going on! I can smell it. Alright, Anime Acumen does $5 say, can we incentivize risk-taking in order to force a company to actually make use of the IPs they hold hostage? Is the question on my mind. Can we incentivize risk-taking? We can, in the sense of we can't. Like, what do you
if you're talking you and me, all we could do is buy and support games we like and in genres we like.
Buy games that do take risks and give them a chance. That's how you actually do that. So that's, if you want to actually do that, it'd be like, let's say Fata Diem came out, right? Fata Diem did take a risk. This is true. They took a massive risk with their game. But the issue with Fata Diem is that I tried the demo, and while it took a risk, it's not a spiritual successor to Black and White. And I don't like it. Not only do I not like Fata Diem, I don't like the direction it is going, and it's not my God game. Not the God game I'm looking for. And because it's not, I don't want to buy it. You know what I mean? But that's the risk they took. It's not Black and White. It sort of felt like it was marketed to be that way, and that's why I went in with the expectations of it being a spiritual successor, and when I played it, I was incredibly disheartened. And then when I played it again later, after I cleared my mind, because I usually, after that, I need to clear my mind, like, okay, clear your mind, let's just take the game for what it is. And I took the game for what it was, and I didn't like what I saw. It's just too ambitious, and it doesn't do anything the way I want it to do. That's an example of taking risks, right? That's an example of that not working. I'm trying to think of a game that took risks and it worked, right? Did something experimental. I mean, Helldivers 2 didn't really. it took formulas that did work, and it experimented in ways that were interesting, and it took some risks, but it wasn't like a leap of faith, you know what I mean? Like oh, there he goes, now he's plummeting to his death. You know what I mean? There he goes. That was a cliff. There was nothing on the other side of that fog.
What took?
DRM is as old as the 80s and 70s. I mean, DRM stuff is so old. My old Emperor Battle for Dune games have DRM in them. Not only, or like that whole like fucking thing, to the point where if I try to install that crap now, it doesn't work. You can't get it to function. Copyright protection has been in games since before the digital age, before the internet. And it's one of the worst age of copyrights, even worse than the digital one. And the reason why it's worse than the digital one is the copyright protection programs of the olden era are fucking viruses. And not only the viruses, but modern Windows finally recognizes that. And the problem is because it recognizes it, like, it won't read shit. And because it won't read shit, it's like, it's cracked, it's a hacked version, so it's like breaks. So that's the issue with old DRM practices.
My favorite was you can only install this game 3 times.
Spore had that. You are right. That was an online practice, though, if I remember right. Because the disk couldn't save that information on it, or did it burn it on it? Can you miss my super chat?
I think it was a registry thing.
Sorry, Polly. So remember, we got to get through our subjects. We didn't miss it. We were going to go back for it. Sometimes we have to take a pause and go through our subject before we get to it. We'll come back. Don't you mind. In fact, we read our supers faster than any other channel on the market. Come here, Chatfish. Spoiled. Polly donates $10, says, if you insert a modded game cartridge into the Switch 2 console, it will also brick itself. Yep. Which means that a cartridge with an imperfection could do it as well. Theoretically, yes. We don't know yet because we haven't seen it happen. But theoretically, yeah. If your cartridge was we don't know if it's like a malfunction or maybe some sort of error. We don't know yet because I don't think we've had any reporting of it yet. But I'm not sure. I don't know. I also haven't super followed the Switch 2 crap because, to be frank with you, it kind of just looks like garbage. Where were we? Let's see. Animate Ackman donates $5. Can we incentivize risk-taking in order... Oh, no. That's what he meant. We did miss
You had
it.
that type.
Gonna have to kill myself now.
We did miss Polly's. Now, Type Zeta just donated $4.99 and says, a game I could think of that did something unique as it is a game I've played called Manifold Garden.
Let's take a squeak peek. No, I'll look it up before you because I'm faster. Manifold Garden.
It's on Steam.
Yep, I have it. Manifold Garden. Rediscover gravity and explore an Escher-esque world of impossible architecture. Witness infinity in first person and master its rules to solve physics-defying puzzles. Cultivate a garden to open new paths forward, where an eternal expanse awaits. Just like, what does that mean? I don't know. Let's take a look. It's quite big. It is definitely artsy. But it's like the grand structure thing. That does tickle my, like, visuals. Like, that is very nice to look at. Where things are sort of, like, expansive and they, like, are beyond imagination, you know what I mean? Or not bad, but it stretches to imagination. Like, it's like impossibly large structures. Yeah, that's taking a risk right there, as an example. Like, would you see Microsoft go like, hell yeah, gonna make a game like this? Probably not. Probably not. Unlikely. Yeah, it looks neat. Not something I think I would buy, but it is taking a risk, and it seems like it's paying off quite well. Look at that. Not only is the recent reviews 85 positive, well, it came out 2020, but a total of 7,000 reviews for William Kyer Studios, which is probably a single dev, maybe? If so, this guy is eating lots of spaghetti with extra sauce. $20? That's not a bad deal. Steam takes 30%. Government takes their cut, obviously. That still leaves you with a healthy profit margin. As if you're just a dude or two dudes or so. Yeah, they walked away with a nice chunk of bucks. This looks like a screensaver from the 90s. You're from the 90s. He's like, Echo? Okay, I'll look at one more take a risk Bijima game. Okay, well, I couldn't find it. Echo is unsurprisingly a word that's used quite frequently. Looks neat, but not my
Like
cup
a
of
Windows screensaver from 90s? It does.
Yeah. I mean,
I know the exact ones he's talking about.
the big thing is this game took a risk, and it worked, and it paid off. There was a market. That's the big thing. It found its market, and it survived. Otherwise, if we opened this and it said 5 reviews, and they were all, even if they were overwhelmingly positive, that there was no market. That or it didn't discover its market, and then it died. Because it fell into what we call out of the zeitgeist, and means it's just gone. I could go for some spaghetti, says Opheth. Look at Chatfish. Always hungry. You're hungry little guys, aren't you? Decky, we must feed. Alright, so next up we've got more articles, besides Hope and Copium that we've been doing today. We have been doing a lot of Hopium Copium, haven't we? Kind of have to, though.
Yeah.
Depends on the topic.
Kind of have to. When it comes to Half-Life, abso-fucking-lutely. Just because it's over.
Is this a thing from Yinless?
Oh, no. Yeah, I forgot to... Yeah, we didn't talk about this. This is big. Okay, so I'm going to read this real quickly, and I already know more or less. Very few strategy games can boast about still having outstanding Steam ratings, more than 100 hours of content, and loyal fan bases 15 years after launch. Creative Assembly has actually a lot of that. Now this veteran is getting a second life on December 2. Creative Assembly Classic Total War Napoleon is finally coming to Android and iOS. I told you, Chatfish. I told you. Next up is Shogun 2 and Fall of the Samurai. Like all those games. The phones are okay. But my predictions aside, right? So this is concerning for a couple of reasons. Not because of this, but this particular article goes on to say Total War Napoleon comes with a formally paid DLC included, but they also mention in here, I'm pretty sure, now I have to confirm, because they didn't mention it in the headlines, that it doesn't have anything. The British edition does not come nowhere. Okay. European military history has inspired some of the finest strategy games ever made. Given how often humanity has gone to war, there is no shortage of material for games, films, novels, or reimagined stories. But few periods fascinate players as much as the rise of French general, who would go on to bend much of the continent to his will. That same fascination led to Creative Assembly to give Napoleon his own entry into the Total War series. It's actually one of the better Warscape engine games. And now, 15 years after the original PC release, Total War Napoleon is preparing to leave desktop and make the jump onto mobile devices. The British studio decision does not come out of nowhere. Previous mobile adaptations of the saga on the iOS and Android have been warmly received and are doing actually quite well. Following in the footsteps of Medieval 2 Total War, Empire Total War, and you forgot Rome Total War as well, but either way, and their smartphone versions, the spin-off of the latter will now arrive on phones, on tablets on December 2nd. So, something new there. Total War Napoleon on mobile platform things. As it indicates, Napoleon players will relive the Napoleonic Wars. Please tell me that the guy's actually going to mention the thing about the article. Okay, this is mentioning it's marching. But what about not... This isn't actually the article I was looking for. So, there's a thing. My eyes caught this. If you could find it, that'd be great. But if not, no worries. Napoleon Total War will not be receiving any expansions on mobile. Now, some of you might be asking, why, right? Well, if this is the article I was thinking of, it would basically be talking about, unless I dreamt this shit, but it's basically going to talk about the fact that people were mad that Empire Total War received something called, like, New World or something as an expansion, and so because Feral Interactive is unwilling to go and patch Creative Assembly's games, and Creative Assembly's unwilling to pay them to do it and fix up their games for PC, they don't want them to make another expansion for their next mobile game because it makes Creative Assembly look bad at their jobs. They look incompetent.
Wasn't in Empire they were doing a lot of nice quality of life features?
Not just quality of
fixing
life, they restored cut
new
content. They even released a unique DLC expansion that allows you to play and start as like Norway and start as like, you know, Scotland and other like separatist states, as well as adding new features and fixing problems the previous game had. Empire Total War is superior on your phone. It runs better, it plays better, it has more content than the PC version. The PC version is inferior to the mobile version. That's not Feral Interactive's fault, by the way, whatsoever. That's just testament to their good porting skills. They're an excellent masterclass porting studio, must say. Go ahead.
It is so frustrating because we would love to have these fixes and new content and restored content and features to the PC games, and the fact that we're not getting them, it's not that the mobile gamers have them, it's that the PC players are not getting them. That's the problem, and that's what's... And that grinds my gears, I'm not gonna lie, that grinds my gears as I would love to have these games fixed so I can play them again. I would love to have, say, Attila actually fixed. I would love to have... It's just... And the fact that we don't even have a Medieval 2 remaster, which many of us were hoping, it just makes you think... It just reminds us constantly of how incompetent the British studio has. And I'm not blaming any one person anymore, well, mostly leadership, but I'm just putting the corporate studio in Great Britain holistically under blame as, at this point, I just want results. And Feral is the only one right now delivering results with the Bulgarian studio, the only other one attempting.
Yeah, they're taking risks. And they're getting bit for those risks too, by the way. But I will say, because Feral Interactive took a massive risk when they made the Rome remaster. And then we found out later, Feral Interactive came and basically talked to the public, because people were like, are you going to make a Medieval 2 remaster? And Feral's like, no, we're not gonna. We honestly, they said, how did they put it? I'm going to basically paraphrase quite a bit here, but they basically said that
the limits of their capabilities.
It was very hard for them to do it, to the point where they struggled to actually be able to perform it. Not only was it a struggle for them to make it, they don't think they'll see the returns for making Medieval 2, because they don't think they can pull it off again. It was way outside their league in terms of what they can do.
Which, as frustrating as it is, it's actually reasonable. There are porting studios specifically for Mac OS and phones. They are not skilled in this. They are not that skilled in the type of remaster that Rome, well, especially Medieval 2, is going to need to bring it up to standards.
The big thing that actually saw them start to change quite a bit is because, by the way, Feral Interactive ported Company Heroes to mobile. Feral Interactive ported Tropico. They've also ported a lot of Total War games and a bunch of other games to mobile and stuff like that. As they started doing this, their studio, if you look at the track record, started learning. And because they had to learn how to make it work on mobile, it caused them to start developing an engineer skill, which is relatively important to talk about, because that skill that they've worked on, that muscle they've exercised, has made Feral Interactive, which is a small little guy team for porting studio, but they are incredibly talented. They've not only been able to restore these games that were never made for phone, run them on phone, port them to Mac, but they've also, because they've gotten so intimately connected with their work and they're so passionate and so driven, they've understood the code. They've done basically a reverse engineering of it, and by doing that, they've been able to figure out bugs that were in the original versions and cut content. And as they figured stuff out, and as they got better and worked that skill, they started fixing old bugs. That's where it started. As they started fixing old bugs, they started turning things on that were disabled, like old features, mechanics, adding some art and things like that, and doing some little things here and there, but not a crazy deal. But they got better and better and better at that, to the point where they started being like, okay, these factions that don't even appear and aren't playable and can't be playable normally because they're only going to appear via events, we actually coded them now so you can actually play as them and spawn in the world as them right now. And they started doing stuff like that. They started basically modifying and improving the previous titles. They did that with Barbarian Invasion, with the Romano-British, which are not playable in the original version of Barbarian Invasion, if I recall correctly. I think they're not. I'm 90% certain. They're playable now. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, by the way, because I can't remember when this started to really take over, but then they started going even further with Medieval 2, and even more so when they got to Empire. Empire was the big one. The Empire for the phone, They made a full-blown expansion, adding over 100 new units and ships to the game, and they even ported ships and stuff from Napoleon Total War into Empire Total War. Like, it's crazy. Like, in terms of, like, Feral Interactive skills. Feral Interactive has what I think is genuine good understanding. They probably don't have the skill to make a game from the ground up, by the way. That's a different skill set. But I do believe that if invested in, they should be allowed to remaster, not only like they did with Rome, but get the resources to basically reconstruct Medieval 2. Because they are incredibly talented. The Romano-British were an emergent, so no way to play without the scripts. Yeah, okay, thanks, Bozars. I was pretty sure, but I needed some confirmation on that. My childhood memory is a bit rusty there. But yeah, so that's one thing that's really interesting. Empire Total War on your phone is amazing. Empire Total War on the PC is barely playable. What the fuck?
You're not allowed to have nice things on PC, Kips.
What they should do, what Creative Assembly should do, instead of telling them, no, don't make expansions for Empire or Napoleon, because, did you find that article, by the way? Because that's the one I wanted to talk about. Because it's not just the fact that Napoleon's coming, it's the fact that they basically were told, if I remember right, like hinted at, they were not allowed to make an expansion for Napoleon Total War. Or something like that. Is what it's sort of hinted at. And
do not, I'll look.
And because of that, that's a huge deal. Because it means that Feral Interactive not only were going to port Napoleon Total War to the mobile, but they were probably going to make Napoleon Total War better on mobile. Well, I have no doubt that this is my suspicion. I think that the Napoleon Total War mobile version, if I had to wager a theory, I think it's probably going to be better. Not only do I think it's going to be better, but I also probably think that they had plans in the back of their minds to do some more of this resurrecting cut content thing and bolstering content. I would not be surprised if they had plans for it.
I'm not seeing that article he's talking about. I've never seen it.
Damn it. I need it. Chatfish, heed my call. Just like start swimming around. Like, actually, we don't know how to look for stuff, Kip. Fuck.
No.
There's an article that talks about it. That Napoleon will not have expansions like Empire. I am so absolutely convinced of this that I place 99% of my belief in that. That way I have that 1% to say, like, well, you know, that 1%. 1%. I'm very sad.
So we got two games then. One that chat wants us to look at and one that someone else wants us to look at.
Chat bitches. Alright, first up is Mad World.
Fuzzy was just linking in that because of when we were talking about censorship.
Oh yeah, that game was censored on the Wii. Yes, I remember this. That's not relevant to what we're talking about now. Yes, that game also suffered from censorship too.
You already brought that up?
I'm opening it up.
There's the first one. And there's the second game.
84%. That's
also
good.
Chat. Universe at War was funded.
It's a space opera developed by a team, Complex Ltd, an independent publisher, and developer founded by experts in space combat simulations. That's cute and all. That user interface is very cluttered.
Indeed. You can send little ticks to asteroids.
Yep, definitely taking advantage of the 3D space and environments for mining and stuff like that. Oh, I've seen this. It's basically a spiritual successor to the homeworld, but you can build your own custom ships and stuff. Like, you build your own custom, like, mothership thingy, right? Unless I'm misremembering that, because that's this game.
I watched this earlier today because it popped up and I was looking at it. And yeah, you kind of custom build your own ship, but I think it's not just this ship. You might build it for other ships as well.
The one thing I'll say
definitely
is
your main
I'm
ship,
not
though.
really a big fan of the Minecraft block thing, to be honest. But this might be because I like... It just looks ugly. Very ugly. So hopefully you can like pretty up the edges or cover it. Like, as long as you can cover it with, like, plating. Yeah, I think you can. Yeah, okay, there. Good. Because I'm going to say, visually, that looks horrific. I hate that. But as it gets covered in plating, it looks better. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Boxy brown. See, it looks good, but different once it's finished.
Yep, much better. Because those, oh, the bottom is really bad. Hopefully it covers the, yeah, the top, see how it's covered? That, those building blocks just don't look good. Cover them all up, please.
Isn't
Thank
that also a huge vulnerability if there's no armor there? There should be.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I suppose, yeah. I assume the game actually has armor plating.
James Cameron.
Oh, I can't even hear it.
Warships and assault cruisers move forward and engage at will.
Is this AI?
Fleet intelligence here. A hyperdrive is about to be engaged.
That
All
voice
ships
acting
ready
sounded a
for
bit,
impact.
bit weird.
Hyperdrive
Got some
maneuver
frame rate
successful.
dipping there, but
Reporting heavy
optimization.
fire and enemy forces.
I assume you can save templates.
I would really hope so.
You would have to.
We're sending
It doesn't say anything about them using AI.
All bomber
on the store page.
squadrons attack the heavy vessels. Striker squadrons provide cover for bombers and heavy ships. Engage all incoming targets.
That voice actor sounds like a big name. They recreated some homeworld ships there. I saw that Titanium missile ship thing.
We are losing heavy warships. Immediate assistance required. Mayday! Mayday!
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Very homeworld
Definitely seems
inspired.
like it's trying to be, yeah, inspired.
I will say that performance looked abysmal. Hold on. Look closely at the frame rate.
Yeah, it's choppy.
Yeah.
When there's rubble.
We are losing heavy warships.
Smooth here.
Assistance required. Mayday! Mayday!
You can see how much
Yeah.
slower some of the projectiles are moving.
What I do like is I love the debris fields, but they gotta work on that performance.
Disrupt the enemy's defenses. We're coming in support.
Cause like the wreckage system, I like. Yeah, this could be fun. Maybe I'll pick this up. I might actually. You know, I think I will. I really like the concept of this actually quite a bit. Does it
Same.
support single player or just multiplayer? Or
Single
both?
player, the Elix does mention later on they would intend on having multiplayer.
Yeah, I think I'm.
Now, Mamu says I'm more interested in Falling Frontier. I am also very interested in
I'm
Falling
interested
Frontier.
in both Falling Frontier and this, but for different reasons. I like the
They're a
debris
good bit
field.
different.
It's a little bit. The frame rate looks like it's dipping. Yeah, it is definitely dipping.
Reduce energy to weapons.
A little bit there.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
That or the
I
rendering
believe their
process.
latest update version number is 0.1, so
That looks pretty interesting. That's definitely going to be, oh, 30 buckaroos. It's only single player at the
I
moment.
might grab that this week.
Well, not this month. All right, but either way, next up, we'll just put that in the old trusty dusty bucket list. All right, so let's see. We've got Storebound.
Welcome, shoppers. Step into present.
Hold on. Let's read the synopsis this time. A 1 to 3 co-op horror game. Play as an ordinary shopper trapped in an accursed megastore. Find the exit together at all costs before the employees get you. I do like the overall look of the
Your
art style.
one-stop shopping destination for everything you could ever need.
That's like a
You
90s
never
vibe.
want to leave. Our employees are always here to lend a helping hand. Shop together with friends, or take your time exploring alone. There's no wrong way to peruse. There are many different stores for you to discover. It's easy to get lost, so just follow the signs to the
Their
nearest
fucking
exit.
faces are great.
If you shop for too long, the lights may go out. Our
This is
employees
definitely
are
friend slop, yeah.
Yes.
But
it is.
this might be good friend slop. We'll see.
You will never want to leave. You will never want to leave.
Present is now open. We can't wait for you
They're
to get
fucking Muppet ass faces. Oh my god.
Those look so derpy.
It looks so goddamn goofy.
Well, chat, if this is if you want to see this played, that's a fund you could start.
That is actually a pretty reasonable price. If it's a 3-player based co-op game, right? And it's, let's be for real, it's friend swap, meaning that you need all 3 copies.
It is.
It's only about $8 out of sale, right? So 8, 16, 32, 34, math hard. $34
You
for a
said how
friend
many
swap game
players?
collectively, not bad. It's 3 players in total.
Then you said it's $8.
Yeah, it's actually, like I said, if this is a friend swap game, this is wisely priced in my eyes. Now I'll have to see what happens on November 17th. Already came out. What the fuck? Already is out. I don't even know. Well, the more you know, and knowing is half the battle. They did miss, I think this game should have come out a bit sooner though. It kind of missed the it missed the window.
Halloween.
Yeah. It's a bit of a, what we call a late bird to the Halloween, the spooky theme stuff.
It came out when it was ready to come out.
I know.
Go to them for not trying to rush it.
But like, it is early access. I would have, I don't know. If it were me, I would just delay until October next year. You know what I mean? So you can smack
They
that.
might need it funding.
True. You might be right. Well, it's an indie team too, so if they're anything, I know exactly what that's like. Paycheck to paycheck. Woohoo!
So quite literally, they probably needed an influx of cash.
Yep, so they might need to do that to bridge the gap. All right, well, I mean, I'm all for supporting indies. I'm definitely gonna wishlist this. Now, this is it. This is what I'm talking about right here, chat. The price of a fucking McDonald's meal. No,
So,
the price of
for
a
reference, because I do like to point out who links these things. So that was from Frank for Era 1.
Mhm.
This is from Bon.
This is from Bon? Ah! I think Bon wants to play this. Gotcha. Subtle hint. Very subtle. Very subtle.
Yes.
She just slips it right there, you know, looking at us, side eyes. Sweating.
Probably preparing a cursed thumbnail on top of that.
I mean, drawing Aerith and, like, the other mascots in this style would be funny, because the faces are so goddamn goofy. They're literally Muppets.
This is what was posted from Plake
Looks good, though.
in regards to when we were talking about Half-Life.
New Half-Life chat.
False. No way. Not this time. We created it. Not this time. No, not this time. It's totally made up. Pure fiction. It's fiction. It's fiction. We made it up. We made this one up. It's a made-up tale. It's a total fabrication. It never happened. It never happened. This one was invented by a writer. Not this time. It never happened. It's false.
I think it's looping now.
I know. I'm just letting
No,
it
it's
hit.
not looping now.
No, wait,
It
that's the
just
entire
keeps
show.
going.
It's an
That's
urban legend.
Yeah,
all the
shows
time.
they play. It's a
No
couple.
way. We got you.
We got
'Cause I
you.
remember the show.
Not this time.
Me too.
It never happened. It never happened. We made this one up. It's fiction. We made up this one. We made it up. Not this time. Wrong. Not this time. Not this time. You're wrong. Not this time. It never happened.
Damn.
It's fiction.
Oh my god, Half-Life 3 is coming, chat. Oh, need to click on what I
Oh,
need.
this deserves a new
What I
one.
need. Need my hopium. Need my hopium. Bond, when she's trying to be subtle, smacks you across the face with something. It's like, damn. Violent little bucketfish. But yeah, that Storebound looks pretty cool. This one is pretty cool, but I'm in no rush to stream something that's early access like this, because, you know, usually you stream it early access and, you know, you're going to get all the problems. But we'll see. I'm also a bit iffy on the early access stuff, but at the same time, I don't know, they're both early access. I find myself in a conundrum. Oh, sheesh, now it's pouring Wayne. That's because you're a chatfish. He's like, whoa. Ah, he's French. Bond when she's trying to be subtle. Hope is the first step on the road to disappointment. Dawn of war quotes never get old. That's true. Dawn of War
What about
1.
when you have copium injected directly into your veins?
Dawn of War 1 had such peak writing as like an RTS campaign. It was so good. So good. The plot was relatively basic as fuck, but the execution of Dawn of War 1 made it great. Oh, I love the original
interactions.
The
chat?
original story for the first game was so good. It was perfect.
Oh yeah, it was. Sorry, American donates $2. What's your source? I made it the fuck up. So we are $47 away from Wednesday's goal, and just as a reminder, a couple things to run through real quick. There is the New Year's thumbnail and
Chatfish.
the Fireside News thumbnails, both of which will be closing this week. Now, Kibbs, what about the cooking thumbnail? That'll need to close soon too, won't it?
Yes, the Cooking with Kibs thumbnail, where Chatfish, or as Chatfish like to call it, Cook Kibs, because they can't, the with part is too much for them. Cooked Kibs. You know what?
Cook Kibbs.
Maybe, chat, maybe we should rebrand Cooking with Kibs to Cooked with Kibs, or Cooked Kibs, and just have it, aireth in a pot, boiled, dead.
Well, Zar, you've messed up the quote. It's with its gates unbarred and unguarded.
Damn, Czar. Tourist. She's like, it's blasted out of existence. And my open mind is like a fortress with its gates unbarred and unguarded. But he's like, unguarded. And then we like take a look, he's like, ho 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 ho.
Also, make Zar green, chat.
He's a little
He's
gray.
suffering as a gravy.
Cooking with kids. What the fuck? I don't like that.
I like the
sad.
idea of everything in the big pot, afraid of the chatfish.
Chatfish would be circling like little piranhas, but they're dead because they got boiled.
They keep falling into the fire under the pot.
Maybe the cooked kibs thumbnail should be like Chatfish dead in a boiling pot, and it's the Chatfish who bought onto it.
Well, hold on. Slapdog specifically requested that he is a salt shaker.
Okay, that's fair. I was gonna say we could also be like there's a cake, and like each time we do a cooked with kibs thumbnail, like the Chatfish are like baked into an object, and like one of them's like a burger. One of them's like Sturmrat, he's a burger. All right, but yes, next article, Gibbs.
There have been none posted.
My God, have we?
That said, as
gotten
well,
through the fireside
the
chat?
poll for the Aerith pinup has concluded, with Confederacy winning.
A Confederate-themed Aerith will be coming to a box of Square Crits near you. Just kidding, it'll be in the big
You'll have to
BH.
poke. You'll have to describe what you want to like, and
Yep,
then.
I told Licky.
All right.
Spaceborne 2. That's a name and a friggin' half. I think we actually got everything. Well, chat.
Yeah.
Did chat everything?
Seems that way.
You have your 60-second last call, Chatfish, for last-second bucketfishy articles. If not, the bucketfish will be tickled to death. Like, no, Kib, don't do it. Laughing my ass off. The South has risen again. It unironically has. The South has returned to the bucket. And they are pouring Cajun seasoning over everybody. But yeah, to recap, for those that missed it in the earlier part of the stream, the big news is that the Saudis are pushing into the games industry. Not
two major pushes.
Too surprising. China is actually got competition now. This is mostly a push, mostly going to be affecting China, if anything, for probably the foreseeable couple decades, before it has any actual impact on us. Like, if I had to be honest, but we'll find out. We'll find out. One way or another, chat's gonna get cooked. Like, just screams. They're super
Toasty.
sad. Super sad.
Do Chatfish brown like toast?
I don't know.
These are the important questions, chat.
Just schedule in the next stream real quick. Okay, I'm not gonna need that amount of time to actually set up, so it's gonna take like a little bit.
What's that? Marvel Rivals. Wow,
No.
that's a game.
No.
Wow, going for the nitty spyware.
NetEase? Ugh, cringe. I'd rather die, Chatfish. I'd rather die. I played NetEase games, and let me tell you, they are fucking ass. As a reminder, Chatfish, we have 49 likes, and there are over 70 of you. You Chatfishes aren't doing your duty to the Bucket Empire. The Bucket Empire does not like traitors and enemies. It destroys them with aggressive tickling. They... I started giggling. They're all dead now. I killed them. Tickled them right to death. Tickled them straight to heaven. Like, wee. All right, chat. We will see you in the next stream, which will be our glorious black and white adventure. So thank you for stopping by for the Fireside Chat, and we look forward to seeing you in the next stream, chat. Take care and have a great day. See you shortly.